Peace. Greetings to you all. It's your brother Naheem, BKA Lord Abbott, aka Mr. Just the Facts. Tonight, we're going to have a powerful discussion. We got our beautiful Freedmen sisters on deck. We got Sister Cynthia, and we have our sister Connie on deck. For those that don't know Sister Connie, you can introduce yourself, matter of fact, but let me just give a brief because my audience is more familiar with Sister Cynthia. I've heard Sister Connie's name before, but we've met on Clubhouse, and just doing this Freedman work is bringing a lot of us together. So, Sister Connie, introduce yourself, but let me just tell everybody: click the like button. Share this video out. We got Judge Joe Brown coming on in a few minutes. I see everybody in this building. Sister Ross, shout out. Brother Arthur Ward, peace. Sherry Thomas, Satch, Ohio. Grim, a.k.a. the Urban Mystic, is in the building. BTP Ali is on deck. Okay. Well, Cynthia, you up here with us, so I ain't got to give you a shout out. And so make sure, fam, y'all check out our new website as well, usadof.org. That's the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen.org. We moving, family. We're making moves. We have a reparations rally on June 18th. And the next day for Juneteenth, we're going to have a Freedmen's Festival. We're locking down a location now, so we will update the family. Also, do not forget, March 31st, we will be doing BTP's very first book club. Charles M. Blows, The Devil You Know. His Southern strategy is just, I think it's great. I personally think it's great, and I want to see what the family feels about that. We're going to have a good round discussion. So, Sister Connie, introduce yourself. And then, Sister Sin, you come on after and also let people know about yourself as well.
Hi. Thanks for having me. My name is Connie Collins. I hail out of Los Angeles, California. I guess I would call myself a social activist. I'm been in these streets for a long time, pushing for equity, equality, and justice for freedmen, also known as descendants of chattel slavery. My background, I could go on for a little bit about myself, but I'll keep it brief. But my background is I've worked in public policy and legislation. I'm also a law school graduate, so I try to study, policies that will advance our causes. And I'm just here with my people tonight. I'm so happy. I'm happy I met you guys on Clubhouse. Much love to Sin, Naheem, Logic. Thank you for having me.
Honors, sis. Thank you for coming through. And let me just say before Sister Cynthia goes in, we would like to make this a part of a weekly thing where we have the sisters come on and have a discussion. And we're putting a call out to all of our sisters to come through. It's time for us to really create the bond that, I believe we all have a bond, right? Because there's something that unites us. There's something that bonds us. But, I want to extend this platform to everyone so that they can, especially our sisters right now, so that their voices can be heard. Y'all been hearing us, alpha male, chest beating, on BTP for the past year now. It's time to get some sisters on here, that beautiful feminine Freedman energy on here to balance things out, So, Sister Sin, introduce yourself and let the people know about yourself as well.
I mean, y'all know me. Come on. Oh, what's up, family? My name is Cynthia, aka Cam. Also, one half of the host of the 13%, which is going to be relaunching, I think, next week, if I'm not mistaken, on our new network, Community Focused News Media. Information is in my link tree, and I'll put that in the chat in a minute. And I want to thank you, Brother Naheem, and the brothers of BTP for having me on. and always having me on, even in the midst of me ranting, because I'm really good for that. Like, what
No,
did
it was just that one time, but we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna talk about that.
Hey, I prefaced, I gave forewarning, but yes, but as far as my background is concerned, I'm a medical case manager. I do work with a lot of patients who happen to be from marginalized communities, trying to get them resources. So, a lot of things that we're advocating for, we're fighting for the descendants of freedmen, for those from U.S. chattel slavery. I see the effects of what this country has done, to our people, like, every day. So, I'm out here with all of you all, ready to work and, and do what we got to do so that we can get this bag.
Fact.
40 bags, 40 bags.
No, that's right.
Facts. So, while we're waiting for the judge, he's trying to get everything situated. Shout out to Sister Tamara Shirley, our resident senator. You already know our senator is in the building. Shout out to our sister putting in work, working real hard, and we're getting things together. We have the Georgia bill being sponsored. BTP is definitely endorsing how and please correct me if I'm wrong, sister, because I keep getting the numbers confused. House Bill 541, So, I definitely want to give a shout out to our sister Tamara Shirley Johnson. She's putting in major work on behalf of the family as well. Tonight we're going to touch on HR 40, right? I would love to hear what Judge Joe Brown's view and perspective is of HR 40, the legislation itself, also his perspective and view on the hearing if he watched it. I would also like for us to get into a little bit of his views on Barack Obama and former president, and also vice president, Sister Kamala Harris. So, I know that's going to be a powerful discussion. He's trying to get everything situated now, so hopefully he'll be on soon. So, yeah, what's peace, brother Ibrahim. The fam is in the building on that. It's a bunch of leaders. It's a bunch of leaders up in here. Shout out to brother Shannon at the Black Watch channel. Shout out, brother. We trying to get this conversation going, and we need for our Freedmen family to step up. This Juneteenth is going to be a celebration. It's going to be the first of many. We're talking about doing some great things, even doing another event possibly by the end of the year as well. So stay tuned for that. So the sky's the limit. It seems like once this Freedmen thing started to take hold, all of the right pieces started to move in place. And I'm super, super excited right now. I can't even get good sleep, to be honest with you all. So, if any of y'all wanted to share anything, if you want to just give a brief on tonight's subject or anything that you feel like sharing, please do.
I just want to invite everyone to come on the Clubhouse. It's a great place to find camaraderie for people in the movement. We've been able to use it. I don't think any of us got on there thinking that it was going to be something for freedmen, descendants of chattel slavery, to bond. And we've been able to amplify our message exponentially. And it's just like people say, I teach them, I learn something new every single day. And that's not in just the descendants of chattel slavery rooms. So I really implore you guys, if you have an iPhone, you don't even have to wait for an invite. Um, just sign up. It takes you under a minute. It'll send a notification out to your telephone book if you allow it the people that you know that are on there can nominate you. So you don't have to wait for an invite. Come on into the clubhouse. It's private, but we want you there.
Oh yeah, Clubhouse. Hey fam, Clubhouse is popping. Everybody knows my story. I had COVID in December, the end of December, going into January. So I had just got my iPad, and I was like, I got to get on. When I got on, I was like, oh, this is it. This is it right here. But I couldn't really get on the way that I wanted to get on. I got on one day for like 4 hours and it wiped me out. I feel like I set myself back a whole 3 or 4 days. Brother Bahi is not on Android yet. They say they're working on it, but I don't know. I think it's some money and politics that's kind of keeping it on Apple right now. Sister Sin, you had anything you wanted to speak to?
I am still very weary about going to Clubhouse. I mean, like, I'm glad that uh, people like mine have found this particular platform to be able to build, to share the message, to grow. Um, I hope that that continues to be a trend, because as we know, and I found this to be the weary side of Twitter, that it can be such a dumpster fire, and that you're trying to explain what your thoughts are in like 140 characters or less, and then
Mm-hmm.
after a while you just kind of like run out of gas, right? But to have a platform where you're actually like able to like have like a discourse with people and have like a back and forth and see if like you can have a meeting of the minds, that seems like more so what I would want to happen. And because like after a while, even like for me, like when I'm talking and engaging people even on like Twitter or social media, like after a while, if we can't really like have like a way that we can be civil with one another and talk some things out, I run out of gas. I'm like, okay, you're a troll, bye. you know
I feel you.
you
Hey,
know what I'm
you
saying?
gotta
So
you gotta develop a little thicker skin on Clubhouse. I can't.
Well, you know what the beauty of it is, we coalition build. And so
Mm-hmm.
when
Mm-hmm.
somebody's coming for you, it's
mhm,
about 30, 40 people on stage in the audience just coming to back you up. And then it's great because you can go back and forth, and we've been able to communicate with people all over the world, our
mm,
black brothers and sisters all over the diaspora.
mm,
Some of them were coming for us in droves when we first got on there. It was like pew, pew, pew,
Mm-hmm.
pew. um, but now I think people are starting to receive the message better. I think we've built respect for our lineage. People
mm,
understand that we're a very distinct ethnicity that deserves respect, respect in our home country, respect for everything that we've done, we built this country. We've been able to get people to understand that, yes, we do have a culture.
mhm,
It's
mhm,
rich, it's very rich, and we've contributed to the culture all over the world. And one of the best things that I like about Clubhouse is, aside from us being our social justice warriors, I mean, you can go all over this app. I was in a business room and learned something that I was able to apply to the movement.
mm.
So there's business rooms, there's stock rooms, there's strip clubs.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of stuff. I've
Shout out,
seen a bunch
shout
of
out to
stuff.
Snoop and Wiz Khalifa. There's comedy clubs. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everything there's business groups, real estate groups, health practitioners.
Mm.
Everything that you could
Oh
possibly
yeah.
want is on this app, and if you use it properly, you can go to different rooms and just learn some great things that build you as a person that you can apply um, to how you're trying to advance the movement. So they need to pay me for that damn commercial.
Facts. You make me almost want to go about my
It,
iPad now.
Well, you know
it's
that they
no,
everything. No, they
it's a
wrote an
dope
article.
platform.
Yeah, but they wrote an article saying it was boring. I think it was the Washington Post, but the
Mhm.
New York Times said that the founders admit that if it weren't for Black people, once
Yep.
again,
Yep.
that this app would not be popping the way it is. We even created all the major features. I won't get into it. They just had some basic functions, and we showed them how to make the app, interface friendly, user friendly. We made it pop. They were like, it was boring until the black people got on there.
Till the blacks came.
Till the
Mhm.
blacks came.
Turned it up. Turned it up. That's
Yeah.
a fact. I've seen those articles as well. I've
Yeah.
seen them.
And in a very intellectual way. I think that's what's surprising. The tech world is, you got a lot of VC people and tech people dropping in, listening in, and they're just hearing how we're able to pivot on a dime. We can go from discussing high level business to our fight for reparations to cracking jokes all in under under 5 minutes. So
Facts.
yeah.
Yes. That be us. That's so be us. I
That's a
love the
fact.
way I love the way that, Black Americans are so nuanced. Like we're not just one thing.
Mm,
And I even because like oftentimes I talk to some of my friends who happen to be of other persuasions, and they will ask me questions oftentimes about race and social justice and stuff like that. And I remind them, I say, I like other stuff too, right? I don't necessarily mind talking about it, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
want to have these conversations with you, but it's we're not just one thing, like,
yeah.
and I think that like oftentimes like I don't know, y'all can tell me if you feel this way. Like if you are engaging with people from different cultures and different backgrounds, and especially like if you present yourself as very multifaceted and very intelligent, that they have a tendency to kind of ask you your background in that particular vernacular and how you fit within the race and how you are portrayed rather than maybe that they are into other things as well. I want to know what you guys' thoughts on that while we're waiting on Judge Brown.
Well, my response will be limited because I don't have friends of the other persuasion.
Oh.
I'm that blackity black.
You blackity black.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with our guest tonight, but I mean, look, we just gonna talk. Uh, we're having a rep again. I want to say to everybody, we're having a whole weekend out of Juneteenth. We're having a reparationist rally of June 18th at 11 a.m. at the state capitol in Atlanta. That is already locked in. The next day, we are having a Freedmen Festival. That date that location is to be determined, but we want everybody to come through if you can make it. Hopefully, COVID will have tapered down some. I know that the rollout for the vaccine is going well in most places for those that are into the vaccine. I'll have nothing against the vaccine. I'm one of those people. But they're hoping that by at least June that a good portion of America will be vaccinated and herd immunity can start its process. And I still want to practice safety, of course, but we also want to turn out and turn up for the ancestors. It's time for us to celebrate. This needs to be like our 4th of July right here. So it's a real powerful statement that this is a statement that we're making right now insofar as what and how we move politically from here on out as freedmen. I got brother Ali joining us. BTP Ali is in the building. What's good, brother?
Peace, peace. What's good, everybody? What's going on?
Peace,
What's the
brother
deal?
Ali. How you doing?
So, did you
All is
guys
well.
tell
Just enjoying the conversation.
did you
Yeah.
guys tell the Honorable Joe Brown he can get on his phone?
Well,
I
that's a good.
yeah,
That's a good point. So let's let's try to get contact to him and let him know to try to use his cell phone because
yeah,
sometimes.
I just
All
got a
right.
message. He's trying to get on right now.
Yeah. Some people have problems with StreamYard, you know, certain, I guess, web browsers or whatever. I don't know what he's
Well,
using, but
it's Chrome. You can only use
yeah,
Chrome, right? But
yeah,
even in that, sometimes Chrome starts acting up
starts
for
acting
some
crazy.
people. Hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can
All
use
right.
StreamYard. You can use StreamYard in other browsers. It's
Oh,
just
you
that you
can.
won't. Yeah, but you just can't get the full capacity of like all the offerings that you could, unless it's Chrome. Because like
Yeah.
I've used it in Firefox too, but
Oh,
like
Mm,
okay.
some,
Okay.
yeah, but some stuff like I'm not able to do. Like I can't share audio when I share my
gotcha.
screen if I'm using if I'm what I say Firefox. Yeah, so that's why I was
Firefox.
like. That's why it's usually best just to use Chrome only because it gives you the most capacity as far as like the capabilities of StreamYard.
Right.
But yeah, it's all good. I see president of ADOS Chicago is in the building. What's up, fam
Shout out, brother
bam?
Marlon.
How you doing? Good to see y'all. It's good to see everybody that's in the chat. Y'all, we getting it together. Be patient.
Oh yeah.
Be patient with us. Um,
Can you hear me, Naeem?
Yes, yes. But you have some crazy feedback going on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm back on my laptop.
All right. Let me see. All right. A. I
So,
could hear me in the
an
background. I
echo.
could hear yeah, I could hear the feedback.
headphones, sis. Headphones.
Everybody jumping on the train. I'm gonna mute you out real quick, sis.
Yeah, yeah.
Somebody just said they heard that dude Tone use the term Freedman in his discussion. I mean, at the end of the day,
Well,
it just
probably
makes sense.
it makes
Who
sense and
knows?
it's unavoidable.
Yep.
And he posted on Twitter an article about the Cherokee freedmen. I think it was the Cherokee or the Seminole freedmen. It was
I
one,
think it was
right?
the
I think it's
Cherokee, I
Seminole.
think.
Okay. And so basically, people that's been following us know that we've been having these dialogues with different uh black folks that claim to be of Native American ancestry. And, even with that, you can't escape the terminology freedmen because we see that in the various treaties with those particular tribes of 1866 or whenever they did them. Um, the United States forced those people, and this is something I made a post about on Facebook. The United States actually forced those tribes to emancipate the blacks of African ancestry that they was holding as their slaves. And one of the problems is that this particular article that Tone posted about, uh,
It was
what they're talking
Seminole.
about is, yeah, what they're talking about is the fact that these people really have demonstrated from the time of emancipation that they really didn't want the blacks to be considered citizens of their tribes, and they did whatever they could to try to abrogate their rights as citizens of those tribes. Up until recently, we saw just recently the Cherokee Supreme Court came back with a ruling dealing with the fact that blacks didn't have to necessarily have Cherokee blood, but if they can show that they're actual descendants of freedmen, people that were enslaved by those particular tribes, that they should, based on the treaty agreement they have with the United States, they should have the rights of citizenship as members of that tribe.
Right. And it wasn't there another article that was out recently, and I think it was probably with the Seminole Nation about a descendant of freedmen who was denied
Hmm.
health care
That's right.
from that
Oh
they were
yeah,
supposed to get through the tribe because of them being black descendant, but they had like the card that gave them that showed that they're identified or they were part of the tribe, so they should get all the basically all like the benefits of being part of that tribe, including healthcare. And I think that they were, I don't know if it was denied
oh
like
yeah.
healthcare specifically
Hmm.
because of
It was
COVID or
COVID. Yep, COVID. It was COVID related health. Yeah, it was COVID related health care.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's Yeah. I mean, like, it's just it. I remember like you guys' like
Hmm.
discussion that we were that was happening about Jane Elliott.
Mhm.
Constantly bringing up Native Americans every time that somebody asked her specifically about reparations for the descendants of freedmen, and she's like, "Well, you can't talk about that until you talk about what's going on with the Native Americans, and they're being poor and they're on reservations and et cetera, et cetera." Then, because I went in after you all did your show, I went back and I listened to the talk that she had with those gentlemen, and I. And, I kind of and I know that like the brothers who were talking to her kind of pivoted back to the work that she did concerning like the blue eye brown eye thing,
Mhm.
and I kind of wish that they pressed her a little bit about her thoughts on always wanting to pivot to another group when we're talking about specifically
Mhm.
a policy for Black folk, specifically those who come from chattel slavery, and I noticed that that happens to be a case a lot, especially with progressive liberal, out there white people who happen to be in that particular space. Like like we bring up reparations. What about these people? We bring up reparations. What about those people? I'm like, well, we ain't talking about them right now. We're talking about us. You know, and
That's right.
Yes.
and that's like, but if we really want, you can ask a brother, the self-proclaimed pope of atheism, and my partner Arthur Ward. Every time that they happen to bring up what you call them, the pretendians, or like Native Americans, he always said like, yeah, we can talk about them. Can we talk about how what they would owe us, as far as like since they did, the 5 civilized tribes did own slaves too, and a significant amount of their population, depending on what tribe that you were talking about, was slaves.
Indeed. Wait,
So
let me
go ahead.
just let me interrupt you real quick. We have the legend in the building, and let's bring him on. Brother Judge Joe Brown. How you doing, brother?
All right, people, how's everybody? Had a little
Oh,
connectivity problem. My system doesn't work too well with StreamYard, but
oh,
anyway,
it's all
I'm
good.
here.
I mean, you here, and we anxiously await this conversation. I follow you on Twitter. I share a lot of your tweets as well. We're in alignment on a lot of things. So, I mean, I just want to start the conversation off. With 27 minutes in, and we was just talking about the things that we talk about on a daily basis. So, let's just jump right into it. Can you just tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Where do you hail from? Where were you born? Your parents, et cetera, et cetera.
Oh, wow. I haven't done that in a long time. It's so long, I think that's actually irrelevant. Basically, I grew up in LA,
Hmm.
transplanted to Memphis 50 years ago after I went through UCLA Law School. Did a few things,
Hmm.
learned a few things, had a few adventures, some good times, some close encounters of the wrong kind, some of the right kind, and
Hmm.
I'm here. Oh, I
Definitely.
did in between that is 15-year long front running TV show.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, all
That's right.
right, if
That's
that
right.
counts,
Oh yeah,
but
no, that
not
definitely
really.
counts. That definitely counts. So, what one of the things that I want to get into personally for me is I want to get into Barack Obama, right? Because we
You mean
believe that
the Obama Tang, old Bush Bunny?
yeah, yeah, him.
Motherfucker, hell, fuck him. Piece of shit.
Yeah,
Irrelevant.
so
Pimp
let's
the movement.
let,
Pimp black folk.
talk about it. Talk about it, because we believe that he was a failed president. But we
Doggone mulatto, waste of time. Half-breed mulatto.
yeah,
Came
so
in
I'm
from the Kenyan bush by way of his pimped out mama. Then he got
indeed.
raised by a criminal, Lolo Sotoro. You know they used to want him from The Hague for crimes against humanity. there were allegations that he had been responsible for killing between 500,000 and 750,000 people when he ran the death squads in Indonesia. So that's the background between this charlatan that we masquerade. We so happy we got somebody black up in the White House. Yeah, but is it one of you? You know, your dead ass went to heaven, let's say. You got a message back. Hey, man, I'm up here amongst the angels. I was surprised, but, you know, I was asking around and everybody wanted to know, you know, what about this new dude we got in the White House? This back in 2008, you know. And they were asking around and they kept asking me. And, you know, they were asking which one of us is his ancestor. And I had to admit, man, ain't none of y'all. I never thought about it, but you know, what's his connection to Black America besides having the same paint scheme?
Definitely.
But you can fake that. So he needs to
Yeah.
sit his tired ass down. And they're talking about putting him on the Supreme Court. Hell, I don't even think he's been in the damn courtroom to try a case. What's he doing being a Supreme Court justice?
That's right.
He hasn't
That's
been
right.
particularly astute about much of anything except pimping colored folk. A lot of white folk too, pushing
right.
big business. And by the way, if you want to understand where he's really coming from, he's the richest person ever to sit in the White House.
That's you mean prior to his? I mean, not prior, but post presidency.
All time.
Or the whole? Oh wow, I've not
Business
had.
Insider reported his net income for 2018 after all taxes and expenses at $570 million on a draw against his trust fund of $1.25 billion.
Wow. Wow.
See, Daddy used to be executive vice president for Standard Oil, international executive vice president.
Definitely.
And he got help by Standard Oil, that's Exxon now, to set up an oil company in Indonesia. And with the fact that he ran the death squads for the Indonesian army, he was kind of like the Heinrich Himmler for Indonesia. He took over. So the State Department protected him because he ran the I spy operations in China, North Korea, North Vietnam, and you remember the 60s. That's what everybody was worried about, getting an all expense paid vacation to the tropics in 110-degree heat in the shade, 100% humidity, and creeping through the slime, mud, muck, and mire while some creepy crawling stuff was slithering all over you. Yeah, okay. And he turns out to be a cousin to George Herbert Walker and George Walker Bush, the cousin to Dick Cheney, cousin to Warren Buffett, and a cousin to Brad Pitt, the actor, amongst other things. So, yeah, he's got a lot in common with us.
Yeah,
He didn't do anything for us. I mean, you know,
nothing.
If you're gay, you got a lot of shit done.
Yeah, that's a fact.
Nothing wrong with gay folk. That's their
or if you was an immigrant,
it ain't mine.
Or an immigrant, right? With DACA and the Indians, several Indian tribes got to split up 400 and I think it was $27 million, et cetera,
That's not much money.
Yeah, but you know, it was something
let me give you a
specific.
In the scheme of things, you got to hit billions before you're talking real money. For example, that amount of money will not buy you a 747.
No.
It will not buy you a B-2 Spirit bomber. You can't buy an aircraft carrier for that. You can't buy a Navy destroyer for that money. You know, so you can't buy a nuclear attack submarine for that money either. So it sounds like a lot, but in the scheme of things, it's really nothing. But of course, we haven't even been given that. So I tell you what, personally, I will accept with not gratitude, but I'll take it if they give me the reasonable interest on the reasonable principal value compounded semi-annually on 40 acres and one goddamn mule for the last 160 years.
That's what I'm
I'll
talking
take
about.
that. I won't fight it. I
That's
don't
what
look
I'm
forward
talking
to it,
about.
but I'd like to win the big lottery too. But I am not guiding my life on winning the damn lottery.
Mm,
Mhm.
indeed. And Sister Cynthia, did you want to ask any questions to our honorable guest?
I did, Brother Naheem.
My
First off,
dear.
Judge Joe Brown, it is a pleasure to meet you,
Hello
even
there.
though it's virtually. I watched you for years, but I do have like some specific questions especially since we kind of alluded to the General Order 15 of the 40 acres land grants. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions about reparations, if you don't mind. So I was listening to a program that you did a couple of years ago, and I know the panelist was asked this particular question, and I kind of want to get your take on it. So, how important do you think reparations are to a Black agenda, and do you think it should
Zero.
be? Why and why is that?
Doesn't do anything for it.
How?
See it. How much money are you talking about per person?
Well, there's a lot of figures that are thrown out there as far as like reparations program is concerned.
I know. How much are we
Yeah.
talking about? Give me a nominal figure.
Well, I think that Dr. Darity talks between 10 to 12 trillion over a 10-year period.
No, it's a lot more than that. Let's say you gave every Black
Yeah.
person
Oh no, I agree. There
identifiable
should be a lot
$1.5 million.
more than that.
Okay,
How
that
much?
would work out to about 15-some trillion dollars. The national income, gross national income for 2017, the last year I have the figures, was 19.2 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
Government, country can't operate off of that. So how long a period of time are they going to talk about the reparations? How many people that deserve it will be dead before they get paid off? It's like winning the lottery. The other thing you have to understand about that is a president can't do it. And if he says he is, he's lying through his filthy teeth. The only way you can get that is for Congress, that's the House and Senate, to pass an Appropriations and Enablement Act. In other words, to enable it by law and to put the money up so it can be paid for.
Sure.
Now, do you really think that is going to get through Congress as it is currently made up today? And see, Congress, by the way, under the First Amendment, is not just a House of Representatives. It's got two chambers. One is the House of Representatives and the other is the U.S. Senate. Now, you have to get the senators and the House going for it. The president, whoever he may be, has got to sign it. Then it's got to survive probably a lot of judicial attack by various states. And if it survives, then you might get something. Now, let me say this. We're talking about reparations, but this is the third time in my life that reparations was a big issue. We actually got it. That's why I jokingly mentioned that about the 40 acres and one goddamn mule. January 14th, 1865, General William Tecumseh Sherman, military chief of a certain southern district that included Atlanta, signed an order that directed that one army mule and 40 acres of land confiscated from rebel secessionists be given to every Black family, and the scheme set up so every Black man who got married could get 40 acres of confiscated land and one army mule. Union military commander Ulysses Simpson Grant okayed that. President Abraham Lincoln, a Republican, okayed it. The Republican House and the Republican Senate appropriated extra funds to make it work. It was working fine until June 1865. At that point, President Johnson of Tennessee, a Democrat, not Lyndon Baines Johnson 100 years later, but Johnson from Tennessee, who acting as military commander-in-chief over the South, because it still had not been repatriated with the Union, issued a military order countermanding that and struck the provision so there was no longer the award of 40 acres and a mule to black families. Now, that's where we are right now. So since then, we have not gotten anything. That would have actually been pretty effective reparations at the time. It probably would have prevented the rise of the so-called sharecropper situation that was a form of virtual slavery for a long period. But it didn't happen. So we are here right now. Now, I can remember being in college and reparation was all the big thing that went on for a while. And I remember when I was in elementary school, the subject came up too. So I've heard it before. Sounds the same each time it comes up. Goes the same place, which is where? And then you have a critical issue that nobody wanted to talk about then because they couldn't. You can now. Is how do you determine who's entitled to get it? Bush Bunny, who was most lately in the White House up until 2016, wouldn't be eligible for it. Would his family be eligible for it? Maybe through their mama, not the daddy. Okay, who's eligible for it? Would you talk about including Carib Americans in there? What are you talking about?
No.
New immigrants? How long do they have to be in the United States? What is the percentage of black African that they have to have in them? See, there are a lot of people that look black, but they've only got 25, 26, 27% African genes in them. The rest of them is something else. They just inherited the genes that's set for color. You got a lot of folk that are blonde haired, blue eyed, literally, that have 40, 50, 60% African in them. They just don't have the genes that set color. You've got a lot of people who look like white folk next door, but you find out that their ancestor was Sally Hemings, the bed slave for Thomas Jefferson. So you know maybe they're entitled to. So how do you work that out unless you take a DNA test? By the way, they can't tell you where you came from, what region of the country you were likely from, and a lot of other things. But you got woke black folk ain't taking no DNA test, man. That's just something for them to get a hold, man, so they can do some genetic stuff on black folk, man. See, so where you go with this? Then you get stuck on stupid. You get $500,000 out, let's say, and if they do, I promise you, if I'm still around, I'm gonna acquire a big interest in a athletic supply company, because there's gonna be a whole lot of black folk that will be rushing down there to buy one pair of every type of Air Jordan in every color offered for every one of their children, grandchildren, them fat selves who can't even run to the end of the driveway, plus all their boyfriends and whatever else. It will be flat broke busted inside the week. I'm gonna go get in on that, so I will be able to put that capital to some kind of use.
Well, let me ask you this,
But it would
Judge
be
Brown.
nice. I wouldn't turn it down. I
Okay,
promise.
well, I'm glad that and I wouldn't turn down my check either. So I have another question. Are you familiar with the works of Dr. William Darity?
Somewhat. But let me add one thing to that last point.
Okay.
What we would really prosper from is a reimposition of affirmative action as a form of reparations. It really worked, and a lot of black folk got college education, graduate degrees, and got put on the roadway to some economic success. It got cut off too early. But you have this thing now with the so-called Equality Act that's trying to set up affirmative action for the gay community, which I think is wrong. It's bootstrapping off of and using, in terms of form and benefit, every single thing that black folk have been asking for years, everything black folk have been trying to do, and all that is essentially embraced in those things outside of cash money for reparations. Now, cash money would be good, but let's move on from that. I would love to have it. Damn it, I know I have gone through a whole lot of racist bullshit from. Look at this series, Lovecraft Country, that travel in the South about setting up the guide. There was a postman named Green that started putting that together. And I know every time we traveled, my father would buy a copy. It was like 25 cents, 45 cents, something like that, from Sinclair Oil. And I know one time I can remember when I was real young, my mother had been employed as a librarian at Tuskegee Institute. So we were driving from there just before we went back to LA. And she wanted to visit some friends in Jackson, Tennessee. So we ran through one of those sundown towns by accident. And they took some shots at the car. They were shooting at my old man, but they missed him. I was sitting in the back seat, and my mother let me have Coca-Cola of all things, and was sitting on my knee, and a bullet went right through it. So, I mean, from that early age, I need my damn reparations for, being a kid worried about my mama spanking me for spilling Coca-Cola all over the back seat, but it is what it is.
Well, at least we can agree that if you got your check, that you would not turn it down. So I'm glad about
I
that.
wouldn't turn it down.
Now, I would love for you to actually and invite you, and I would even send you a copy, Judge Brown, of From Here to Equality by Dr. William Darity. In that particular book, he does go through the whole who would get it, what it looks like, and what could and how like different programs could be actually implemented to make reparations make sense, to the point where, yes, that particular book right there, to the point where it would not, cause an issue, especially when it comes to inflation. So I would invite you for that, to read that.
See, I'm beyond that. I don't read that stuff. See, I read things like the mechanics of the use of propaganda to influence, etc., attitudes toward propaganda techniques to advise on such and such and such and such, establishment of hydroelectric power in certain urban areas near to waterways. I deal with stuff like that, those things, implementation. See, I've already 30 years ago put in place a thing where for my courtroom in the state of Tennessee, where the statewide felony recidivism rate was 80%, I reduced it to 18%, got people jobs, employed, in school, manned up with attitudes. So now they tell me with gray hair in their heads how thankful they are, how they have families, grandkids, and they've got organizations and groups where they're trying to do man up things with young boys to keep them from tearing up the hood. See, that works. They're all working. They are prospering. They're not dead sitting up in a penitentiary. See, those things we need. I can give a damn fool a lot of money and he'll still be a damn fool and soon a broke damn fool. If I get a man some training and teach him how to be a damn man, he can go do man things. Women can do women things too. So we've gotten way out of line with that. If you go back, this planet's been around for about 4.5 billion years, and life has been around for about 3.8 billion, latest estimate. All through that time, they've been dealing with what? The next generation. Fundamentally, men have a job because they are male mammals, and women have a job because they're female mammals, and we've got it all screwed up. So our real enemy is trying to get us off of that. So we don't have women, we don't have men, we don't have families. And if you don't have the family to produce the men and women that are necessary, ain't nobody going to damn anywhere. And see, we got to go get back to that kind of thing. Our communities ain't shit because we don't have any manhood in them. We got to man up and start dealing with responsibility. It's not the police's job to deal with keeping law and order and public peace, dignity, and order in our community. It's our job. Well, we don't need to be whining about police. We need to be running the son of a bitches out when they're wrong, or turning the damn city administrations out who have the wrong police in there. We're talking about justice is just us. We need to start sitting on these damn juries. We need to start understanding what's going on. We need to start producing some lawyers with some balls so when they get through law school, they will take these cases instead of saying, Judge, we just can't do this because it's about the money, Your Honor. Oh, you damn punk ass. Don't you live here too?
Well, let me.
We have to do a lot of things we can get ahead of. See, police reflect the realities of power. And when they treat you like shit, they're saying you ain't shit. You get what you deserve. You got all of you around here and you can't even elect somebody to sit up and represent you who will get you what you want. You get somebody in, and the first goddamn thing he's doing, he's always trying to slide his pocket open so somebody can put a bribe in it to go help somebody else besides the people who elected him to get something.
Well, can
And
I
your
ask?
preachers take all your damn money and diffuse all your enthusiasm and waste all your time so you can't get your shit together while you running around there praying to Jesus.
Well, let me ask you this, Judge
He
Brown.
ain't
Since
done
we kind
nothing
of,
for you in the last 200 years. He ain't gonna do a damn thing now. You wait, you get your pie in the sky. I don't want to wait until I die. I'm too close to that any damn way. I want some shit right now. You know?
well, let me ask you this, Judge Brown. Especially since you brought up local municipalities and elections and things of that nature. So I was listening to another broadcast where you were talking specifically about voting habits and Black folks voting habits, and you had a lot to say about that. And I was wondering if you can kind of go in a little bit further about the issues when it comes to Black voting.
Get your punk ass into the mindset of you are supposed to get something for your vote. A lot of folk died so your ass can get that vote. A lot of white folk died so a lot of white folk can get the vote. Certainly a lot of Black folk did too. Don't give it away. We give our vote away. Wait. CNN, Crying Negro Network. Oh, I'm so happy that Trump lost. Oh, I'm so happy Van Jones, punk ass Van Jones, crying. And what did that Negro get? Nothing. Not even any damn respect. Except you want to call it Crying Negro Network after him instead of CNN. What do we get? You put somebody in office that told you ain't getting shit. I promise gay folk the first 100 days are gonna be all theirs. And I ain't promised your ass shit. So I promised them, you got me to vote, and then I'm letting you take the credit for getting me in. So when shit gets the fan, you get the shit. So what are we gonna do? Sell your vote. You owe no loyalty to a political party. I don't like Republicans. I don't like Democrats. But Black folk almost universally used to be Republican. The Democrats were the ones that were incorporated to spread slavery. They are the ones that historically kept slavery. And until Franklin Delano Roosevelt came up with the New Deal to feed some Black folk and everybody else when everybody was going broke, we didn't have anything to do with them. Now all of a sudden you act like that's Jesus. What the hell? Get real. Sell your vote.
Let's let Sister Connie come in. Let's let Sister Connie come in. I was getting some feedback, Sister Connie. But any questions you have?
You're still getting feedback?
Yeah, I still. But you just after you ask your question, you can just mute out, and then whenever you're ready to speak, just unmute.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Judge Joe Brown. You may
Hello,
not
Miss
remember
Collins.
Hello. I met you with two of my funny friends, Vanessa Graddick and Ada Rodriguez. A couple of times. Yeah.
How is she doing?
I haven't talked to her in a minute. Vanessa, I'm tighter with Vanessa. But anywho, I just wanted to ask you your thoughts. I heard how you went in on Obama. So I'm really curious what you have to say about Kamala Harris and whether she was appointed to, how do I say, be next in line behind Biden. What are your thoughts on that?
I've been saying that for the last year. Biden is a senile idiot. He's always been a bench warming, third string idiot that just got on the bus to travel with the team. First time I heard that racist dog was in 1972 outside the state capitol for that rundown Delaware in Dover. And he was on stage with George Wallace, John B. Stennis, Faubus, James O. Eastland, and Byrd, and they were lauding him as the last of the true yellow dog Dixiecrats who would turn back integration. and he was talking about Negroes being roaches and animals and turning streets into jungles. And he and Strom Thurmond were going to find a way to put us in zoos where we were safe. He's been a racist dog since day one. And we've got him in. So what have we got on the other hand out there? Well, do we have black caucuses doing something for us? No. That's actually the colored adjunct, colored surrogates for LGBTQ. They don't represent black folk. Do we have black mayors? Maybe a few that are decent, but most of them are wearing around trying to pander to the LGBTQ community. Do we have black preachers? They got a whole bunch of LGBTQ capering around up there by the pulpits when the book that they're supposed to be believing in calls them an abomination. What do we have? We've got drag queens reading to children, including black children in schools. We've got what? We've got a clown that's in the White House to push that. And part of the plan is so his senile ass can resign so come Queen Imhoff becomes the vice president of the president. And by operation of the 20th Amendment, Nancy Pelosi becomes vice president. Now, if that isn't enough to make me vomit in anticipation, I don't know what is. All right, Mrs. Imhoff. Why the hell do we call her by her maiden name, Harris, instead of her married name, Mrs. Imhoff? You have Mrs. Hillary Clinton. You've got Mrs. Sarah Palin, ran for VP with McCain. You've got Mrs. Nancy Pelosi, Speaker of the House. How come we got Miss Imhoff, or is that too damn Jewish? Not Mrs. Imhoff. Is that too damn Jewish? You know, black folk are a little bit anti-Semitic, you know, which is not cool, but they're a little anti-Semitic. So, I mean, was that a turnoff? Was it saying, oh, that's why she looks like that? She is not a black woman. She's one of them. And then she is actually, according to anthropologists, she's what's known as an Indo-Aryan. That's another lie told very long, loudly, and now believed. Aryans are not blonde-haired, blue-eyed from the far north. They're from India. They're swarthy to dark-complected with frizzy to long, coarse, straight hair. Dark hair and dark eyes, just like Kamala Harris. I have a good friend who is married to a Jamaican citizen. She was born in Jamaica. Her parents born in Jamaica. Except the parents, they be white aristocracy because the grandparents be in Britain. And she's blonde-haired, blue-eyed. She happens to know Mr. Harris, Professor Dr. Harris. She says he's always been known as a Hindu. He sometimes jokes about how the Irish slipped in there like they do everybody else. And he talks about that grandmama that the Harris woman wants to point to and say, that's my black grandmother. She said, no, she's not a black woman. That is a Hindu woman. She was a servant. See, Jamaica was part of the British Empire, you know, and the sun never set on the British Empire, part of the Commonwealth. So they have people there from Canada, Kenya, South Africa, Pakistan, India, Hong Kong, Singapore, and you get people that look just like they straight out of China someplace. Hey man, how you doing, man? You know, if they live in Mexico and if they live in Jamaica, they speak the Puerta, man. Them be blood clot fuck, man, you know.
So, given the fact that Kamala is a known code switcher, I mean, you've touched on, some of the things, but what do you think the goal is? We had Barack Obama in office, we have Kamala, and now we're seeing a cabinet full of black immigrants. Is there some intentionality behind that?
Announcement. Today, it became realized that black Americans have been recognized in their obsolescence. You know what's happening? We live in the inner cities. The inner cities are kind of like plantations, but the damn Negroes have no damn crops to pick, and they got folk vying to be overseers over a plantation with no crops. And black folk won't get the idea that they need to think like, act like, and be free people. We think like dogs. You know, you talk to white folk, real white folk, and it's interesting, like Martin Luther King. You have a Martin Luther King Day. You know what that's all about? Have you seen this commercial where they're talking about pet food and this little girl is laying up in a hospital bed and she's saying more procedure today, and the nurse or the doctor says we want to try something different, and this dog comes in and puts his head on the bed. She goes, oh, and the dog wags its tail. Well, Martin Luther King was kind of that dog to the American system, and they gave him a holiday because it'd be like shooting that dog. Everybody go, you shot the dog. Oh my, that sweet dog that was trying to be so good to America. Oh, we got to get a holiday. See, don't be fooled. We wag our tails. We respond to the whistle. We don't know how to make it. We depend on somebody opening up the cow can and kibbles and bits and putting them in the bowl and calling us to eat. Putting the water out there, getting us to the vet, getting rid of our fleas when necessary, and scratching us on the ass when he wants to make us happy and have us wag our tails. That's about all we get from the system. And Kamala Harris and Bush Bunny, they're about the same. Ain't nobody traditional, original issue, Black American done shit when it comes to getting high office. And we support these clowns who want to put us up there and front us off.
Okay, so let me ask
That
you
girl
this.
didn't even
Why?
grow up in America. She grew up in Canada, kindergarten through 12th grade. She went to Howard because they offered some scholarships. So she took an accidental oversight on her birth certificate. It says race of mother, Caucasian, because she's a Hindu Tamil Brahmin. That's classed as Caucasian. And Caucasian doesn't necessarily mean you look white. It's something else. And then daddy, they put race of daddy, said Jamaican. So the ignoramuses at Howard University looked at that, oh, he got to be black, man. He's from Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica 40 times. Guest of the government, prime minister, guest of the governor general, a whole bunch of times. And they got a place called St. Elizabeth Parish where everybody high, bright, or white. And they're born in Jamaica. I mean, and we don't get it. We're ignorant and we are wishful in our thinking. So we got a Bush Bunny who did not grow up in the United States of America and didn't set foot on the mainland until he was 20 damn years old, who is half Kenyan, who is half white from Kansas, raised in Indonesia by a fiend hitman. And now we got a Hindu Tamil Brahmin masquerading as black in line to be the first female president, and we jumping up and down and ain't got shit yet.
Okay, but why did she? What do you think she slipped up? Given the fact that she was originally portraying herself like a black American, she had the black struggle, all of that.
She didn't portray herself that way. I was in California when she was getting up. I was doing that show. She was talking about she was a Hindu. I'm the first Indian to be elected as district attorney for the district embracing San Francisco, the Bay Area. I'm the first American Indian who is running for state attorney general. I'm the first Indian running for U.S. senator. She didn't say shit about being black.
Once
Not
she started
one
running
damn
for the
time. Except
presidency,
she was fucking Willie Brown. That was his booty.
well, once she started running for the presidency, she tried to analogize herself and give anecdotes about her being a young black girl and having the struggles. But what I found odd was that when she was interviewed and asked her thoughts about reparations, she got real funky rolled her neck and said, no, I will never say I will do anything that will only benefit Black people. So was that a slip up? Because she dropped her veil in that moment. During her presidency, she was trying to be a Black American woman.
Yeah, well, see, you can't fake real. You slip. By the way, I have some Indian acquaintances that look a lot like you, Miss Collins. And I know there were two that were on my show I thought were sisters. And we all met up, a bunch of the crew at a place called the Pinot, which was about a block away from the studio. They told me one day, Judge, you think we're Black women, don't you? I said, aren't you? I said, no, we're Indian. He says, I'm Hindu Brahmin caste, and her mama's Hindu Brahmin, and her daddy's warrior caste. And by the way, she can't go back to India because they got a death warrant out on her parents for going off and violating the protocols. I said, damn. So, I mean, she joined AKA. My mother was an AKA. She got made 1934 up here at Lane College in Jackson, Tennessee. But she would faint. And then they show you by the ignorance. They're talking about, oh, wow, you guys are just jealous because we've got the first Black Greek in the White House as vice president. I said, no, you don't have the first Black Greek anything. I met Big Brother Vice President Hubert Humphrey in 1966. He's a bald-headed white man from Minnesota who made Alpha back in the 30s. So nobody tried to claim him for being back. He was just a badass white boy who wanted to join. So that was a member of a frat, Black frat. And by the way, let me say something about deterioration of concept. Black fraternities and sororities came about first decade or so of the 20th century, and their purpose was not to party like white Greek organizations. Their purpose was as an underground organization to fight segregation. Pledging used to be hard as hell because what you were trying to test for is to determine whether or not this brother or this sister could keep their mouth shut if Sheriff Bubba caught them and was trying to torture them to tell on everybody. Little story here. Emmett Till got killed. Two alphas, A.W. Willis, an attorney, and Russell Sugarman, an attorney, now late, went down with an Ernest Withers, who was a Black cop and also a photographer. They went down there. Withers took 6 rolls of film, didn't develop them, handed film off, 3 rolls to each man. They were supposed to get it out of Mississippi, get it to Illinois, get the film developed up there and give it to the governor. Well, A.W. got captured. He managed to escape, but he got tortured, but he didn't tell anybody. 6, 7 cars got shot up and burned up. 5 or 6 folk got wounded when the Klan and the White Citizens Council were trying to keep those rolls of film getting out. That's what the frats were supposed to be about. They went to a Walgreens up in Illinois, got the film developed and gave it to the governor. He demanded Emmett Till's body back, and they had a funeral without the body being embalmed. And if you look again at Lovecraft Country, there's a scene in there where people are throwing up in a pail. One of the reasons was because after a couple of days in the hot sun or hot heat, the body started to really smell and people were throwing up. But that's the background. That's what frats used to do. If you look at who's in frats, various ones, you see these people. There are 4 frats that divide everything up into 4s. There are 4 sororities to divide everything up into 4s, so no one unit can take everything and everybody down. Now, that's the background, but you see, we have come down from that. So when you get Kamala Harris, don't get happy. That's not one of us. When you see Barack Obama, don't get happy. That's not one of us. In other words, point to one of their relatives who grew up in the United States. You can't. Does not exist. And by the way, there is a thing on I think they call it Jamaican Times. It's on air. They even admit that that is an editing of the story that Dr. Harris did himself. He wrote it. He's a professor. And in it, he called his daughter a liar and a fraud. I have read the paper journal, and what's online has been cleaned up. They took that part out. So, yeah, it's fraud. See, this is a propaganda matter. That's why I study it. It's political science. I had a physics major in college at UCLA. I also had a minor in political science, military science, and vertebrate paleontology. But thanks to St. Rhonda Reagan, I couldn't get all of the courses that I needed to finish physics before I was going to get one of those notes that said, "Greetings from your president. You are hereby ordered to report to your local induction center. You've already had your physical, already been through boot camp. Enjoy your vacation in the now." So I didn't particularly want to do that right then because I didn't have any particular grievance against Uncle Ho, Chi Min. And somebody said you can declare political science as your major. You've already got enough credits. My faculty advisor, I said, why not? And I did. And I said, now what the hell am I going to do? He said, well, you can be a professor. I said, I don't want to teach political science. Damn, hell no. He said, well, go to law school. I said, I don't want to be any damn lawyer. He said, well, at least take the LSAT. So I did. I didn't even know what I got. Didn't even look. And I started getting all these letters from Harvard, Yale, Princeton, UCLA trying to recruit me. So I just stayed at UCLA where all the Hollywood starlet types were. There was a sunny beach nearby, desert nearby, and snow up in the hills if you wanted it. So why not? I had a love of life I was trying not to lose at the time. So midnight train did not go to Georgia, but it didn't leave LA. Let's put it that way. So life is what it is. And that was a half century plus ago. So here we are.
So,
Now,
why do you think the United States government would anoint Kamala Harris and Barack Obama to be the face of Black people and to rise to such high positions? There's got to be a strategy behind that.
yeah, it is. It's called control. If you study this, it's obvious what you're looking at. See, there is a distinct minority that consists of 5.6%, a little less, of the American population. For those over 55, about 1.5% to a bit less than 2% belong to that particular group. For those 18 to 23, 16% belong to that group. It's called LGBTQ. They have plotted, they had a 25-year plan. I heard them strategize back in the 60s at UCLA. They had a 50-year plan, they have a 75-year plan, and a 100-year plan. Their 50-year plan is coming along well. Part of it was to take control of the entertainment media. Part of it was to take control of the news media. Part of it was to take control of politics, both parties, to insinuate themselves in both parties, to sow maximum confusion so that the public wouldn't know what the hell's going on. So they're 5.6% concentrated in these strategic positions could in effect control the population. You have had a glorification of dysfunction that has occurred over the last 50 years. So people don't know what the hell's going on. Nobody wants to be strong anymore. Everybody wants to be protected and coddled. Nobody understands masculinity anymore. They call it toxic. Nobody understands femininity anymore because being a woman is somehow demeaning. Family, what the hell is a family? Provide for the people that depend upon you. What the hell is that? The government can give you a check. 55 years ago, if you saw a Black man and he was supposed to be into something, he was going to college and he had some suits, ties, and sports coats. The ladies, they had some class. Now, what are you looking at? Cardi B is the exemplar of Black womanhood. Kim Kardashian, and they aren't even Black American. You got what? The thug, the pimp, the drug dealer, the burglar, the gangster. Those become exemplars of Black masculinity. Hell no. You a man if you don't make where you live a better, safer, more secure place filled with economic prosperity, sense of purpose, ethics, morality, and promote order, peace, and public dignity where you happen to be. You have responsibilities. We don't have that anymore. We're off into some fantasy land. You get a brother now who's supposed to be all in. He looks like he just got through pushing a doggone grocery cart filled with lawn bags. Britches hung low off your ass. You know where that came from? That's exemplary of the whole thing. First time I saw that was 1980. My law partner had been murdered, was representing some folk in a drug case, massive interstate drug case. I inherited some of his clients. One of them I had to go interview up behind the wall in Nashville, Tennessee at the main penitentiary. It was 105 degrees. The air conditioning had broken down in the attorney-client visitation room. I'm sitting out on the yard with a yellow pad talking to this fiend that I had to do a late appeal on. Somebody walked by and said, man, what the hell is that shit? He said, yo, man, Lawyer Brown, you mean dude with his pants hung down off his ass like that, man? And see, like most of us like me up in here, we doing life a long time, man. We got everything we need but soft booties. So, see, we trying to soften up some booties. That's man pussy over there. That's the signal with them pants down like that. So when he oversee where them trees is, when the guards ain't around, we just bend them down, pull them down, and get down. We gonna make that ass wide open. And see, when he on the cell block, he got to take them pants off. We don't let him wear no panties. And that baggy shirt, that be his dress. We already done got some jewelry we done made up for dude in the metal shop, see. And Jamal done got his baby sister done sent a care package with rouge, eyeshadow, mascara, eyelashes, lipstick, and plastic nails. We gonna girl dude all the way up. See, that's what time it is and what all these kids walking around doing. The lower the sag, the cooler the dude, like hell. You know, there's no manhood. Man, you got to do your time if you're going to be a man. Yeah, man. No, you don't. You want to be a slave fool? Because that's what it is being off in there. You getting chumped out because the bottom line is on why do we have this schoolhouse, jailhouse pipeline? It's labor control. They don't want anybody's free labor. There are not enough damn jobs to go around because the United States of America has a fundamental flaw in its policy. Unlike every other industrialized country, unlike them, we're the only one that does not have a program to reverse the obsolescence of the typical worker in the face of industrial technology and computerization. We say leave it to private enterprise, and private enterprise is about making a profit. It's about greed, not the overall good. And we've left it to them, so there are not enough jobs to go around. So what you do is you store the damn surplus labor in a warehouse known as a penitentiary instead of a grain silo. You subsidize the would-be producer, you give them a government check. You cut back production by putting all that stupid foolishness into these children's heads so they drop out, bang out, drug out, get knocked up too early, too often, clown, don't have any viable skills, trades, occupations, don't have any academic prowess or any damn thing, clown around, tear down their communities, make them chaotic so they can't engage in political self-help. And then once they get locked up in the damn penitentiary, they're very difficult to employ once they get out. And there's a $1 trillion high growth industry feeding them, sheltering them, clothing them, transporting them, providing communications and security for them. That's where the money is, not getting them doing a little chicken shit, occupy the time, labor in a penitentiary so they aren't idle and get up to mischief.
Indeed. Let me ask you a question, Judge.
Yes, sir.
Where do you think we go from here? And, you know, can you assist in giving lectures in
Yes,
so far as manhood? Because I'm all for that, you know, that manhood training. So what do you?
It works. It can be done, but it's difficult. It's simple, but it's very difficult. The difficulty is getting it through somebody's head that suicide is not the way. being willing to die for a cause is. We have no cause, we have no drive, we have no purpose. Until we catch fire and get it, we ain't shit, won't be shit. See, we have to be able to accept this one proposition. It is better to be dead than to be a slave. And as long as our culture attempts to justify the shame of slavery, we'll go nowhere. When we get beyond that and say, you know, I'm embarrassed because there are so many black folk. Most of us should have been dead trying to get free. But you see, until we can accept that, we ain't going any damn where. Church ain't gonna get it. Money ain't gonna get it. Air Jordans won't get it. Long cars won't get it. Only that willingness for the men to man up and be willing to die for a purpose. So you don't say there's no daylight at the end of my tunnel. You can say, fuck that shit. It's my job to get everybody I'm responsible for to the end of that tunnel. If there's smoke and flames obscuring that tunnel and we can't see the daylight, it's my job to slay all the fire-breathing Gila monsters that are setting fire to that tunnel. And if I die in the process, at least somebody will remember my otherwise trifling ass for being a hero. So we have to adopt that mindset. Once you adopt that mindset, there's no end to the possibilities that you can, as to what you can achieve. See, look at what we're doing. We pimp our women instead of saying women are a resource that need to be died for and the protection of. We don't raise our children because our children were conceived as a means either of a pleasurable accident or as a way to get a check. You see, we don't raise our children because we're too damn busy trying to worry about what we're missing in life. We're too damn busy missing shit in life because we want it right now and we don't think about our grandchildren getting it. See, we got to develop a damn work ethic. You got to support black business. I've lived in one house here for 20 years. And I've hired all kinds of black folk to work this lawn. I've had to fire 10 of the 11 firms that I hired because I'd come home early from doing what I did in Hollywood, wouldn't tell anybody. The grass is high. They're supposed to be there Monday. This is Sunday. Nobody shows up Monday. The following week, nobody shows up. Nobody shows up on Monday. I said, tell somebody I'll be here Thursday. Look out the window the next morning, a whole bunch of people out there trying to cut the grass. I'll wait until they're finished. Your ass is fired. Huh? I said, you didn't come. Been here 3 weeks, you lying son of a bitch. Get off my property.
All right, I got another.
Do something about that.
No,
you're
right.
Black business, be reliable.
I got another question for you.
Hustle somebody. The world is not about a hustle. It's about hard work. Even if you do hustle, the hustle's hard. We got to stop thinking like somebody's supposed to feed us. That's like being a dog on a damn plantation where you wait for master to blow the whistle or whistle for your ass. Here, boy, food time, boy. Come on in here. Got some fiddles for you.
Yeah, I got another question for you. Okay. Oh, go ahead, Connie.
No, just speaking of hard work. So we've got the midterms coming up. We have the general election coming up. What do you think our strategy should be to get candidates that aren't like Kamala, aren't like Barack, that have a black agenda?
Remember I just said you got to think long term?
Mm-hmm.
Vote against everybody you would have otherwise voted for. Ain't getting shit anyway. So they shock them. Vote against them. So what the hell happened? Jesus Christ. What did these African Americans do? Oh my God. How did they vote like that? And then the other side will say, wait a minute. How did we pick up all these votes? Maybe we need to pay attention to them. Well, geez, man. Alan, what are we going to do about the what do they call themselves now? Black again? What are we going to do about them? I mean, why did they leave? And somebody got to point it out. You punk ass motherfucker. You paid attention to LGBTQ. They didn't vote your ass in. We did. Now, see what the fuck it feels like when your water runs dry, motherfucker. Your well is empty. That's what we got to do. Everybody does it but us. We so loyal. Okay,
Indeed.
let's break some folk down. Al Sharpton, okay, supposed to be a black leader. Okay, you have Don Lemon put up as a black leader. You see him on Crying Negro Network. Crying Negro on the network. Van Jones, you see him. What was the boy that died down here in Georgia this last year? The congressman down there. Funny looking dude, old dude. I
John
forget his
Lewis.
name.
John
Oh,
Lewis.
that's him. See, John Lewis used to be known as Bayard Rustin's teenage butt boy. Bayard Rustin is put out as the architect of the black civil rights movement, like hell. I remember my old man, war vet, and his buddies sitting in the living room, and they were talking about how they weren't going to get out on their knees. They had been in the war. They tried to kill folk, avoid getting killed, and some bitch raised an arm to them. He's going to come back without an arm. All right. Yeah. And the other thing is they were saying, we can't deal with that. Dad, what do you guys mean when you're doing that? So when you get old enough, I'll explain. So I think I was in the 10th grade, and I was sitting at the table doing homework. The old man dropped the second section of the LA Times off, and this is what it said. Last evening, Los Angeles Police Department made a triple arrest in such and such park. Found in the back seat was Bayard Rustin, prominent civil rights leader, an associate of Dr. Martin Luther King, who was being sodomized by a white suspect, they gave his name, while he, Bayard Rustin, was performing fellatio on another white suspect. I said, damn. My mom said, you know what those words mean? I said, yeah, Dad, he's getting busted in the ass and sucking some dude. We were encouraged to look up those terms. Somebody was wolfing on the yard, so I looked them up. And see, Bayard Rustin was supposed to have had this little close butt buddy that everybody used to snicker about. That was, what's his name again? What's his name? I try to forget it. You just told me. What was his name again? The
John
congressman.
Lewis.
John Lewis, Bayard Rustin's butt buddy. And that's why John Lewis always voted for LGBTQ and not a damn thing being black. All right? Al Sharpton always running his chicken. I love me some fried chicken. That was James Brown stuff back when. So, I mean, that's why I used to wear his hair all gassed out when that was something in the early modern history ring in the Smithsonian Institution. He was admiring his boyfriend, James Brown. So, see, we got all this group leading us, well, not leading, but supposedly representing us. It's no wonder that we don't get a damn thing. Turn everybody's ass out. And then, see, we need youthful something new and improved. Yeah, but you see, youth ain't mad enough. And that's what gets me. You, and you. I'm mad at you because I show up someplace with youth. I'm an old man. I'm supposed to be in a rocking chair, enjoying life, worrying about grandchildren and shit. Trying to find a girlfriend, it is what it is. I ain't that damn old. I'm not as good as I used to be, but most of the time I'm better than I ever was. But there's that. But we won't go there.
Yo, Judge Joe is
We
off
won't
the
go
hook. But
there.
go ahead.
But
Go ahead.
anyway, I get mad when I walk in and talk to some so-called BSU and some 19-year-old asks me what he ought to be doing. I said, why the hell are you asking me? I'm an old man. You ought to be scaring the shit out of me talking about your radical shit. God damn. You sound like, damn. Jeez, man. You sound like you in a Sunday school class instead of in a BSU meeting. What the hell's wrong with you? Do something radical. Think of something. I mean, what are you talking about? Damn. You got to ask me to explain to you what. Oh, come on, man. Come on, man. You're giving me the position of the enemy. That's what I said. Do you realize if you had been that age, the age you are right now, with some people your age 50 years ago, they would have looked at you, walked out, come back in, and whipped your ass for being a punk, just on GPs for saying what you just got through telling me. Huh? Yeah. Man up, dude. And don't mean somebody running around looking like he's a thug. We used to talk about those folks that were the thug. Yeah, man, dude off in the penitentiary, man. He don't have to take X-Lax no more. He don't need it. He too wide open, man, from what they did to him when they brought him in. You know? I mean, and you ladies want these thugs. You used to want to get the boys who were in college carrying the books.
Hold
I
on,
don't know what
Judge.
the hell happened.
Hold on, Judge. Hold on, Judge. Don't go into hasty
But I'm talking about
generalizations,
you
sir.
married
I
some of your
know.
younger sisters that you need to
You
give
know,
instruction to.
yes,
You
and
two
I
are
agree. I
beautiful
agree with
women,
that. I
and you
agree
look
with
like
that.
you got your
I
shit together. I'm talking about
yes.
those you need to be proselytizing to. Young sister, this is not it. You don't need you some thug. They are not all that exciting.
No,
You
they're not.
really want a man who is wised up enough to give guidance. And you have to be wise enough to give advisement. And you got to whisper in his ear, baby, we need to talk. And by the way, don't expect none when we get home. We're going to talk about it. What? Just wait till we get home, be quiet, and wait till that evening. No, not tonight. Not tonight. You got to do some man stuff. That was not cool what you did this evening. But no, you ain't getting no butt tonight. So just go to sleep. We're going to talk about it in the morning. Tomorrow, Saturday. You know, that's the way you get stuff done. You don't do that now. See, understand, we used to say black power to black people, you know, economic power to those who understand, Panther power to the vanguard, and pussy power in charge. See, women need to understand they're the sole source and supply of pussy on the planet Earth. And most males who are straight, heterosexual, spend their entire careers preparing for, to be able to afford, to be able to support, and to be able to deserve pussy in the pursuit, acquisition, and enjoyment thereof. So you've got the power in your hands, so to speak, between your thighs, and you don't do shit with it. You give it away. And it ain't about just money, it's about influence and importance. And then when you get the dude, if he's trying to deal with you, you going, oh, I don't have quality time. He's working too much. Oh, give it a break. Go shopping or something. Shit. You know? And then you talk about, I love him. He's so exciting, but I'm working 2 jobs trying to get everything together. Damn fool, that ain't your job. What's wrong with you? Get it together. And brothers, quit this shit where you tell me, Judge, I don't know what you talking about. We got $130,000 family income. I'm making 20 and my old lady making 110. Well, you ain't shit, fool. What's wrong with you? You ain't even at the poverty level. So your woman supporting you and you let them get away with it. They're tragedies. And people don't even realize them. Oh, okay. Justice for Breonna Taylor. All right. We hear that all the time, right? Do you know what it is? Bottom line wrong with the whole equation? I saw it all the time. Still see it. Sister ain't paying attention to the brother that got something going on. She got a thug somewhere in the background. Now, Breonna Taylor worked for the Department of Corrections in her state. She's got a boyfriend living with her. I ain't got no problems with the boyfriend living with her. I do have a problem with the fact that she still maintained good relations with the thug who was the drug dealer, who she was letting use her address as his mailing address and her phone number to get messages. So that's how they hooked up going over to her place in the first damn place. The brother that she was with, I ain't got no problems with him. Under the castle doctrine, he opened fire when somebody tried to kick down the door. That's his job. You notice they didn't charge him with a crime, but let's talk about more. We need to get rid of this castle doctrine. Why? It don't hurt black folk. Black man did not go to the penitentiary because of the castle doctrine. He shot at the police. The police had no business opening fire. They had a right like anybody else to self-defense. You could have shot back if that had happened to you. They shot back, but poor Breonna Taylor is behind a wall sleeping, and the bullets went through the wall and they killed her. Now that's tragedy. Nobody committed a crime, but the department was negligent as hell for not informing those cops on that raid that they already had the suspect. She involved herself in her own death by letting this thug drug dealer use her address and phone number, and she works for the institutions that are supposed to have his ass under lock and key. I get so many problems where you get beautiful sisters, good sisters, and they get messes for themselves, their children, and their relatives because they got a thug they're in love with. Watch who you give yourself to. Reward the guy that's trying to get his shit together. And forget this damn term. Girl, you know I got to break him down to size, honey. Girlfriend, I hear you. You got to break one of them dogs down to manageable pieces. So why you want to tear your man down? Even think like that. Dog, why we call each other dogs? 1969, no black folk were calling anybody dogs or the N-word. 1976, 7, when I ran the public defender's office, I was the boss in Memphis. And all my white employees were scared as hell to go interview black clients and witnesses. I'd go do it. I'd walk into somebody's kitchen in the projects. It's filled with smoke, cigarette, and marijuana. They got a bunch, 8, 9 little snot-nosed kids, smell like they haven't seen water in 3 weeks. Dirty food dried all over their clothes, snot all over their faces, hair unkempt and dirty, and 5 or 6 young girls from 16 to about 23 smoking, drinking a can of Colt 45 or Schlitz small liquor. Little N, give me my cigarettes, you little MF dog, so-and-so. You little black ass, and N, go get me a beer out the fridge. Hurry up. She's only 6 years old. Little MF blah. That's why you talk to your children like that. And see, 10 years later, it's 1986, that child's now a teenager. 20 years later, he's in his 20s. 30 years later, we just hit the turn of the century. What have we got right now? He's going into his 40s, and he's got 6, 7 grandchildren and 25, 30 children running around. He hadn't paid a dime in child support, and now everybody's calling dog and the N-word. Where do you think that came from? And we think it's street cred. And by the way, if you want to see who your enemy is really, think about who you can't use a pejorative to refer to. You can call us the N-word. That's about the worst you can call a black man. But what you've done, in essence, without the person knowing it, especially when he calls himself that, is to make his very existence a pejorative rather than just the word. You can call Jews all kinds of bad things. You can call Mexicans bad things, Italians bad things, Irish bad things, Chinese bad things, Japanese bad things. What's the one thing you can't call somebody because Twitter will cut you off, Facebook and Instagram? I got taught by a visiting Soviet professor in 1967 when I was her teaching assistant. She had been the highest ranking woman on the Soviet Politburo, ran propaganda for the KGB at one point. She said, that's how you can tell who your true enemy is. It's the person you can't talk about. She also said this country has a bigger problem, and it's not racism. It said, she called them, you got these long-haired hippie beatniks, that's what she called them then, who think that they know better than the rest of everybody. and they're going to impose what they think on you for your own good, and in good conscience, they'll turn America into a fascist state without even trying to be a totalitarian government. Once they do that, they will set up a totalitarian government to make you do what they think you ought to do. That's what we're getting.
All right, let
Now,
me ask you another question, Judge. What do you feel? Somebody asked the question in the chat, and we coming up on a 2-hour mark. Let me just let the family know. Hit the like button. We're gonna wrap it up after this question. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed. Hit the bell notification next to the subscribe button so you could be part of the notification nation. So the question is, Judge, Herb Saint asks, ask the judge about all these crimes against Asians. So what's going on is you have a lot of crimes that are happening against Asians, and we're somehow getting blamed for them, right? So what is your take on that?
okay,
Black people getting blamed for what white people doing to them.
Propaganda. I told you. I took it for a year. Even studied under the mistress. She was head of the propaganda section of the KGB at one time. You plant this idea in somebody's head and it'll quickly take. It doesn't even have to be remotely true. You say Asians are being killed. They're being targeted. In a country like this, the statistical probability is that somebody of that persuasion is going to get targeted just for random crime. Let's say I wanted to give you a facetious example. There are people who have a thing against flip-flops. So they're targeting people who wear flip-flops in the summer. Okay. So obviously, with 360 million people in the country, there's going to be somebody wearing flip-flops who is going to get his ass jacked. All right. That's a statistical impossibility for that to not happen. So somebody that's pushing this narrative is going to be, see, wearers of flip-flops are targeted for violence. And what you will see if you get a statistical analysis is before this targeting, there will be the same level as after this alleged targeting. There will be no statistical difference. Like they've got this white guy that apparently went and raided 4 massage parlors and killed 8 folks, supposedly because he's mad about COVID-19. That is 3.657 times 10 to the minus 10th. That isn't even a blip in reality. But that's being tooted to prove the point. The random stuff that occurs in the Black community, because Koreans run weave shops, wig shops, beauty salons, nail salons in the Black community, is going to dictate that there is a high probability that they will be victims of random criminal activity. To come up and say C-19 is specious, and that's just part of the propaganda thing to condition you. See, they have an agenda. And part of that agenda is to impose draconian censorship and restrictions on the public. In order to impose these things, what you have to do is show some justification. When you seize upon a justification, it doesn't have to be a real one, it can be a manufactured one. 1933, the Nazis became pretty well represented in German parliament. Hitler got appointed chancellor. The Nazis burnt down the Reichstag, which is the German parliament building. They blamed communists. They even found a scapegoat and executed him. But shortly thereafter, they started a campaign of strict censorship and the imposition of sanctions on any behavior supposedly for public safety. If you're going to claim to be a fireman, nobody's going to be excited about hiring firemen unless they're fired. So what they're doing with all this nonsense about accusing Black folk of killing or targeting Asians is simply to create justification for more draconian imposition of restrictions. to justify creating a new department, some harsher laws to give them more authority to do things with those laws that weren't anticipated. 911 resulted in the proliferation of Homeland Security / Patriot Act stuff. It gave federal agencies authority under the law that you saw exercised by J. Edgar Hoover up to the 60s that were against the law, but he exercised them because he had power. That's how King got killed. By the way, it wasn't for civil rights. It's because Hoover thought that King would be a threat because he would galvanize the anti-war movement and he would revitalize labor. That's what they had in the memoranda that are in that file that I read through when I was the last judge on James Earl Ray's case. So we have to get real in what we are doing. That is a fabrication. Yes, it's bad to target anybody. Yes, there are people of all persuasions who get jacked when they get in a jungle. There are tigers and lions out there, and it's because we don't have public peace, dignity, and order in the jungle. And yes, if you are an Asian, like anybody else, a black businessman, a black barber, a black beautician, a black grocery store operator, you're going to become the victim of random criminal activity if you operate in the hood. And by the way, it's China that the virus apparently came from. It's not Korea. It's not the Philippines. It's not Formosa. It's not Japan. So just who is supposed to be getting targeted? Who is supposed to be getting targeted? See, that's a myth. They put that out there so people will buy it. Hitler, Goebbels, minister of propaganda for the Nazis, says, tell a lie long enough, loud enough, and often enough, you can get people to believe it. Get anyone to believe it. And you can tell you're successful. He added this: when they start thinking in terms of the propaganda, when the questions they ask are in terms of the propaganda, when the results they expect are actually logical conclusions of the propaganda.
Yes, indeed. All right, thank you. We want to thank our esteemed guests for coming on. This was a very, very powerful discussion. I want to thank our Sister Cynthia and Sister Connie. Connie's first time appearing on BTP, for co-hosting. Again, we're going to have the sisters coming on at least one day a week, hosting on this channel. Y'all know how we do as freedmen, reparationists, etc., etc. So look forward to that. Check out the new website, usadof.com. Remember, we are having a Freedmen's Festival in Atlanta, Georgia on Juneteenth weekend. We're doing a reparations rally at the Capitol in Atlanta. And then the next day, we're setting up a whole festival. We want to make that our 4th of July. It's time to celebrate us. It's time to celebrate our Americanism, our unique tribe as Americans. Y'all already know what it is. So Judge Joe Brown, thank you, man. And I'm going to be in contact with you.
You can get me, by the way, at Judge Joe Brown TV on Twitter. I don't have a blue check. You can find me at Judge Joe Brown on Parler, and I do have a red P. And when I get my check, if I get my check, I'm going to invest the whole hunk in some experimental investments that I had that I want to see how, whether or not they work. I'll risk that, maybe make some big money off of it. But, keep faith with yourself. Be strong. Man up, stand up, move it on out. Power to the damn people, right on and get it on. And by the way, Sister Cynthia and Sister Connie, you last to look on. It makes an old man want to grin. Yes. Sit back, rock, and be smiling. Yeah. Your man should have seen me today. I had some fine ones was grinning at me. And I apologize for the bad language, but I'm trying to make a point by showing how we have gotten so accustomed to cussing that we accept it. But the real profane things, some ideas we sit up there and let get crammed down our throats. So anyway, I'm out of here. The judge has got to go. This has been on your show, but judge got to hit the road. It ain't got a
Definitely.
chance and time to get back and sit back like a toad. I'm flying, I'm floating. I don't even touch the ground because I'm going on. This is Judge Joe Brown. I'm out of
Thank
here.
you, Judge.
Peace,
Thank you so
peace.
much.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. That was interesting. That was definitely interesting. You know, we just want to have a little post discussion. You know, the judge said some things, especially on the topic of reparations. I really would hope that he would read From Here to Equality, or by Dr. Darity and A. Kirsten Mullen. And I'm just
Fam, he said that he doesn't read that. He reads mechanics.
no,
I don't want to say too much. Is there still feedback?
A little
Let me
bit.
see.
It's a
Yes, a
little
little bit.
something.
Do-
It ain't crazy. God damn. Judge Joe Brown was talking that shit, nigga. You heard me? I was like, talk that talk, Judge, talk that shit, nigga. What?
I was holding so hard. Y'all don't know how I
yeah,
got
it
like
is
my own.
feedback, Connie.
I got my own personal mute button on my mic because it was a few times that I was really close to doing a spit take. So I was holding it together as much as possible. But he said a lot. He did say a lot. But
You know,
I
some
I will say this. One of the things I did appreciate is that I did agree with him concerning, some aspects when we're talking about voting.
Mhm.
I kind of wish that he would have spoke more to an agenda versus I'm just going to just vote for the other opposition. But in defense of part of that is the portion about some voting is not always who you vote for, it's also who you vote against.
Mhm. Mhm.
But maybe partially, when it comes to voting strategies going forward, we need to be thinking more so how to weaponize our vote so that we can get to the point where we are getting something from our vote. But I do agree when he did say that, don't just give your vote away. Don't give your goddamn vote away.
Indeed.
That's right.
Yeah. So I agree with that.
You know what's so funny? It was so funny is right. A lot of this is what's interesting about a lot of anti-reparationists, right? The one thing they don't do is say, "I will never accept no check." This is the funniest thing in the world, right? So we can make we hear all sorts of arguments as to why we shouldn't waste time trying to pursue it, or why it'll never happen, etc., etc. But if it does, I'm going to accept it. Like, I ain't going to turn it down. I'm just not going to be an advocate for it. I think that's so funny.
Yeah.
I would have asked him about the waiver program. I'm like, Judge, don't you think we should set up a waiver program so all of the anti-reparationists, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, go ahead.
He wouldn't
I see Logic in the building. Go ahead, Logic. Go ahead.
He wouldn't
Yo, what up?
What's going on?
What's up, Brother Logic?
Yo, so I just want to say, right, to everybody and the people, everybody, our special guest host, thanks for coming through. One thing you got to keep in mind, some people might not understand. They be like, damn, man, why did BTP have Judge Joe Brown on? So you got to understand, right? I don't know if y'all listen to Judge Joe Brown, but basically you could hear him say those same things that you heard him say tonight. He says that like on every platform he comes on, like the same thing, right? And what you got to understand is Judge Joe Brown comes from the entertainment background, right? Show business and whatnot. And we appreciate the judge to come on. I knew he was going, he said a lot of colorful things. Some things he said was on the money. A lot of things was off, right? It made for a good program, and I knew he was going to touch on a lot of things that we can come back and recap and really address, because he really shared a lot of sentiments, right? That the people that his particular like age range and similar background kind of hold a lot of these same kind of values and sentiments, and we have to address that. Like the hard work thing, right? I think that's just like an old school mentality, and it's just like a view at this generation just don't want to work hard for nothing. But we work hard for a lot of things. Like we are a hardworking people.
Right.
We put a lot of effort into even the things that you disagree with. People putting a lot of effort into those things, right? What we lack right now is the lack of organization and togetherness, and like the collective mentality of we all got to get to this place and this destination together. Everybody has kind of fallen into this rugged individualist type of mindset, and the community has been fractured. He said a lot of things that I agree with and a lot of things that I disagree with. He said a lot of both, right? He said some things about getting back to community and getting back to manhood and getting back to womanhood and sisterhood and brotherhood. Some of those things were on point. His delivery was Judge Joe Brown delivery style, you know. So, but what we have to look at, right? Everybody, and when you're doing interviews and when you're bringing people on, everybody's not going to agree with our position. You have to understand that, right? And we don't want to be the people who just only bring in amen sections onto our platform and you got to agree with us or you can't come on. We want to at the end of the day, like Ali said, I guarantee you, if reparations gets passed, that judge ain't gonna turn down no check.
He said he wouldn't. He said he wouldn't.
I know he wouldn't. You know, so I love to bring out those type of. I'm not even gonna call them like on those anomalies, right? They're not full-fledged contradictions because he said he would accept it, but I think a lot of people who are in his age range and other people who have seen a lot of things happen are just so dismayed and disheartened about the possibilities of what we can do. So they just don't believe. They're echoing the same sentiment. Didn't you know how many people during the civil rights movement was saying Jim Crow would never, you niggas crazy. Ain't nobody going, they ain't never finna end segregation. You niggas out your mind. Don't you know how many people of our group was saying that? But when the shit was struck down, you know how many niggas was going to get that apple pie that you couldn't get at that store that they wouldn't let you? They was doing it, wasn't they? They was riding them buses, wasn't they? Yeah, so we just have to highlight there's nothing so different from what our antecedents and the people who preceded us had to do to get things done, right? We had to, what do you say?
Otis said we should have checked them.
well, that's fine. But
how can you check somebody when you can't get a word in edgewise?
Right. That part.
Yeah, so I mean, we could have checked him but if we wanted to, we could.
If we wanted to.
But we didn't want to, right? So everybody knows how we do things on this show. We'll cut you up real good if that's what our desire is, right? But we wanted to highlight something else. Sometimes you just gotta let people talk, and then you can now see we don't have to spend too much time combating people. We'll let him talk and let people listen to that, and then we will talk and let people listen to this, and they'll be like, well, wow, you know, the choice becomes so much easier when sometimes you just gotta let somebody talk. Let them talk. Keep on talking, brother. Right? And then you'll be like, wow, this kind of sounds crazy. You know what I'm saying? This kind of sounds off. And then when you come behind and then we talk, now people be like, wow, what a difference. It's like comparing the glass of dirty water to the clean, pure, you know, Fiji water. You know what I'm saying? That's what we are. We're that Fiji water, and everybody is kind of like diluted and scattered. And that's what we want to do. We want to do those comparisons so you can see us. Sometimes you can win the fight. Sun Tzu says this. Sometimes the best way to win the war is to not fight it. You don't have to fight all the time. You don't have to even fight. If you can win the war without fighting, you understand? That's a true master strategist, right? Sometimes you let your enemy defeat their own self. Just keep letting him talk. He done undid his own self, right? So it's strategy and it's tactics in this thing, man.
Indeed.
Brother
Sister
Otis
Connie,
said
what
we should have had somebody his age. He said we should have had somebody his age to offer some pushback.
Oh, I would
Well,
have.
listen, I would love to have like Brother Otis or
Oh
Dr.
yeah.
Darity on. You know what I'm saying? We waiting. We've been waiting for a while, so that would you know what I mean?
Oh
That
no,
would
I
be
would.
great.
Hey, that would have been a good conversation if Otis would have came on. See, and earlier on, let me say this right.
Otis,
Earlier,
Otis know he could have asked for the link, man. I don't know what Otis talking about, man. Otis could have asked for that link.
I think
bro.
he
Like, what you
did.
saying,
I think he did. Like in a like towards
I
the
ain't
end,
see
he
it.
said,
Did
"Hey,
he?
where my link?
oh
Where
word,
my link?"
I ain't see that.
Yeah. So send him the link
All right, hold
so he
on.
can cuss
I
us
ain't
all
see
out
it.
for not pushing back enough.
Yeah, put Otis on. He gonna let Otis curse us out real quick, cause I know Otis want to talk that shit, man. That's how Otis do. Come on, Otis, come and curse everybody
Yeah,
out,
come
man.
on.
Fuck it,
Yeah,
man.
cuss
That's where we
us
at
out,
tonight.
chastise us, you know, all that great stuff.
No,
I
I'm a
mean,
first time guest, so I didn't want to, jump in and get
That's
aggressive.
right, Connie. Don't even good.
No, but Connie, you gotta. Sometimes you gotta bring Clubhouse Connie out to play. Come on, Clubhouse Connie, let's work.
But I'll be honest with you, what you said, sometimes it's great to let people, like you said, reveal themselves, reveal their thought process.
Right.
And hopefully it would have been more interactive, but it's good because then you, especially for those who are watching that actually understand our justice claim, you have something to go, wow, people really think like that.
Right.
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's good to just let people just listen to this, y'all. Are y'all listening? Be like, hey, y'all, are y'all listening? Just listen to this stuff, And then when it's on a platform like this, where people are used to getting quality Freedmen University style education, you know what I'm saying? It looks different when it's on a platform like this, right? When it's not on a crazy platform where you always used to hearing crazy stuff. When it's on a platform like this, people listen in a different way. And when you just sometimes, if we would have combated him all night, it wouldn't have been the same. You know what I'm saying? It would have been a back and forth, would have been loud and messy.
I was tempted. Hey, on the reparation stuff, I was tempted. I was gotta be honest.
Yeah.
Y'all know me. I love
that's hard. Anytime somebody ain't right with reparations, it's hard not to just cut their head off. When they ain't right on reparations, it's hard not to just stump them out, right? But it's imperative sometimes to do what we're doing now. Let them say their piece and do what, and then we come after. And we come after and we know we clean that thing on up, man.
Oh,
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, Logic, and also Brother Naheem, when you mentioned this earlier, like I'm so big on not trying to create your own echo chamber. It's so easy, like you said, to have like your own amen corner. And I mean, but to me, that's like you creating, I don't know, what the very thing that we were fighting against, which is this like, group think cultism that we don't want necessarily people to kind of get into, right? And I personally like to hear varying views so that I know, okay, what are jewels and what are the rocks, sift through them, and stuff that are the rocks I can deal with right then and right there so that I can get you straight, but you got a lot of people also that listen to Judge Joe Brown. And, and if they know that they're on platform like this, and then we're actually talking afterwards, they say, well, we can address this portion that he said in this portion, what he said. And then we can kind of like, go through the vines, go through the weeds rather, so that we can kind of get some clarity on some things, and especially like, but I could feel him on one point where he was saying that I'm mad at you and I'm mad at you. Because you got a lot of young folk that's just not mad enough, right? And I even think that like even part of our fight is getting more people that's younger to get fired up about being political advocates. We got a lot of us that don't necessarily want to get involved when it comes to politics, when it comes to even like participating in what that even looks like, let alone, advocating for something specifically for us. So I think that, if you had like that particular like rebuke pointed at you, maybe some things can light a fire up on people's asses to say, you know what? Yeah, we do need to get more politically educated and activated in the spaces so that the thing that if we're constantly getting looked over, then, we can do something about it so that can change for the better.
Absolutely. And so one thing I want people to really understand, right, is that yes, there does take a certain degree of fed upness and anger to fuel your fire, but that's not really we cannot chastise our people into political action. That's not going to get it. What we have to do is build those relationships, rebuild our community. There are people in our community, a great many of them, who are so dissatisfied and so distrustful of politics, they don't want to hear nothing political, right? You can't chastise them back into this political space. But what you can do is build a relationship with them where your relationship is so good with the community, they might not never give a damn about politics, but because they fuck with you and that they like you, they was like, you know what, I trust you because of the relationship you and I have. If you say, let's go to the polls and support this initiative, I'm going to be there because I'm there for you, Sister Cynthia, because I'm there for you, Sister Connie. If you say, let's support this individual for state rep or U.S. Senate, I'm going to support them because I trust you. It's about reestablishing trust with the community through building relationships. How do we build those relationships? Not through chastisement, but through social interaction, community work, social work in the community, repairing those broken wires. You understand? So that's what we have to do. When you're out there feeding the community, cleaning up the community, repairing the community, right? Taking care of the elderly, engaging the youth, you understand? That creates a whole different dynamic. So now you have those relationships to where now we are coming together. But you can't this age, the youth we have now, you can't chastise them. They gonna immediately go the other direction. They're not trying to hear that. We want to win our community back. And that does not come through always chastising and condemning and saying you stupid for not doing this and you need to do that and you need to do that. I'm gonna meet you where you're at. I'm gonna turn street organizations and teach them how to be political organizations. I ain't gonna say get the hell out the streets. I know you're not gonna do that, but I'm gonna say this is how you can be more successful and organize the streets and take control of your different kind of street action, right? This is how you can refine your thing. This is how we come from the trap house to the state house. You understand? So we have to establish a network of relationship building, and we have to stop there. Now I was gonna say let's end all chastisement now. Chastisement has its place as well, but we got to do a balanced approach. We have to know when it's time to kill and when it's time to heal.
And you know what else? When you build those relationships, you build upon that. The youth are desperate. From an economic standpoint, the youth are looking for ways to make money. And so that's why you have to, make it hip, make it cool, and show them how politics is the way to the bag. So we started a hashtag instead of just HR 40, hashtag 40 bag, to start getting the youth involved. When you look at like LLC, Twitter, the youth are really invested in monetizing things. So if you can show them the way to make money, politics will make sense to them.
Oh,
Yeah. Can y'all hear me?
oh yeah. You live.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up, y'all? Peace, everybody.
Peace. What's going on, Josh?
What up,
Man.
Josh?
Yeah, that was a good discussion, man. I look at it from standpoint of Judge. He has his views, his opinions, and I think Cynthia made a good analogy. She was talking about sifting. You take in that the full bag or whatever you dig up, just put it all there, and then we can just sift through and get the rocks and the jewels out of there and let the rest of the sand fall through. And I think we were able to do that, and you can't do that if you just try to go especially in a short time period that we have on this program. If you try to go go in too hard on one particular subject, especially with all the people. So I mean, I like how we're coming back now and offering critiques, or just adding some additional commentary to make it make sense for everybody out there. Because like let me just talk about one particular point, to maybe highlight some of the generational differences. I got a real close friend. He actually we went to college, we went to undergrad together at Virginia State. And he went and got a law degree, and he moved to Los Angeles. Now, man, look, when we try to think, when Judge was talking about how people don't necessarily want to get into civil rights and and fight with that fight because they have to make money. I think that the main difference is when you look at the amount of student loan debt that people have to get in today, and you look at the lack of wealth that they have in their family that can cover that, and that can help them in that process. Like we talking about damn near $500,000 just to become a lawyer, just to get that law degree, and we're not even talking about passing the bar. So how do you ever expect to position yourself to make up for that? Like, you right out the gate, you are in debt for a mortgage, and you still ain't got a condo yet. You still haven't got a studio apartment yet, but you in debt for a mortgage. So I think these are concerns, and this is like somebody getting a law degree. These are concerns that didn't really people in the other older generations didn't really have, because you didn't have these astronomical costs that are here, and you didn't have, like, worst case scenario, you can go to the plant and get a job. You can supplement your job with some industrial labor. That's dead. That's gone now. We talking about you can drive Uber or something today, or Lyft, and
all that
yeah,
Yep,
yeah, and
yep.
that's, you can't pay no student $500,000 in student loans with that.
Nope.
So I mean, it's a lot of things that I appreciated that he brought, that he said. But I just think
he's
that,
disconnected, brother. The bottom
yeah,
line is he's disconnected from where we are right now. That's
Right.
a
yeah,
fact.
and it's, yeah, and to think that somebody in that generation is really going to, I mean, I know he still has some fight in him, in terms of, you can tell the conviction, but the not just the fight, but actually knowing that you have to do like some work, like doing the work of building with the next generation, um and building where you're going to sacrifice, so you're not going to see nothing for a long time, maybe not in your lifetime. That's, hey man, that's not really his fight though. Like, that's not his fight. He had his time, and I'm sure he did his work, and he's still doing his work. But it's our fight. So, I'm not even mad at him. It is what it is. But this is our fight, and that's why we got to be the ones. It's not just about waiting till somebody give us power. It's about coming up and figuring out. We always been the people to make a way out of no way. Right now, it's about figuring out, making a way out of the no way situation that we see in now. So how do we get power so we can make what we have to have? We have to have reparations. It's not an optional thing. If it does happen, well. If it doesn't happen, well, we good. We be all right. No, we have to have reparations. Look at the economic data. We falling off a cliff. We have to have reparations. So we have to figure out a way where we can get the power necessary for us to manifest. Period.
Yeah, but we cannot afford to allow the youth to go disengage. Civil rights and freedom fighting has always been heavily involved by the youth. The freedom riders, they were young children. You understand? The Black Panther Party, young. You understand? By the time Martin Luther King was assassinated, he hadn't even begun to get old yet. You understand? Freedom fighting, civil rights fighting have always taken the blood of the young, the teenagers, the young 20s, the upper 20s. This has always have a lot of casualties in our youth and in our young men and young women, making a lot of sacrifices. Them people doing them sit-ins, them people on that road marching with Dr. King through Mississippi and Alabama. These was young people. If we don't engage the youth, we do not have a future. You understand? You have to understand that. We have to find a way to get the youth connected back to what we're doing and then bring them along. It has to be a perpetual passing of the torch. We have to get it right so that they can see it done right and that they can do it right when it's their turn to do it, right? So we have forgotten the youth, and that disconnect has happened a while ago. That's why the disconnect with our elders is here right now. So we have to reestablish that connection, right, with wisdom and youth, right? So we have to have all of the things connected. What's up, Uncle O? Let's
I
go.
was about to say, speaking of wisdom, we got Otis on there. He about to go in on us real quick. What's going on, angry old dude? Talk to us.
All right,
I'm ready. Come on with the cuss out.
I'm gonna. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, just a little.
I'm gonna tag team with that fella y'all just did do the whole stand up routine. As soon as COVID is over with, I'm gonna refine mine on open mic right out here in Portsmouth in the area I'm in, because my routine is better than his. When I was saying pushback, I got to get on y'all about that thing about jumping on him. No, I told you gentlemen when I first got forced into meeting y'all, because I ain't adopting nobody and I ain't claiming that I birthed you and none of that, because I ain't know who you were back in 2014. But let me say hello, like the judge did. What's up to the 5 sisters? You know, unfortunately for me, y'all didn't get my libido up, but you did excite my mind. I kept mine above the navel.
Tonight has been crazy, but I'm loving it. Go ahead, oh.
But I'm gonna say this to you young people. I put out this thing all the time when I tell people about the profession you're about to go into. Study Gil Noble, GILNOBLE. He had a program called Like It Is. It's only
Like
30
It Is.
minutes long, but to get to the long and short of it, it's got taken up a lot of time because I want to get to another point. He was so good at what he did that after 43 years of being on air talking about Black issues, spawning people like the guy from Tony Brown's Journal and James Brown from ESPN. In other words, they were his understudies, but they moved on to become big in the industry, and the white folks accepted it.
That's right.
I'm going to say this to you. The art is not in arguing with a person. It is the rebuttal question, forcing them to go beyond the script and explain to somebody. If you're an expert at something, you ought to be able to break it down to a 6th grade level. There's a whole lot of things. I begged for a link because that's what I would have done to him. I grew up with these people. I've watched people like him pull the Oprah Winfrey. Judge Joe Brown wouldn't be nothing without affirmative action.
Mm-hmm.
But if you listen to his whole script, and I'm hoping he listened to this because I'm free, I'm public. Me and him can talk. Give him my number. They tell you about the defect. Everything he was saying was predicated on defective Negroes. You don't oppress the victim. Sure, there's a lot of us that might have PTSD and all of that stuff. But you know what? A lot of us are sane. I didn't come across y'all because I was running around looking for no damn Looney Tunes. I found people that were using logic and reasoning, and they understood exactly what was going on with it. So when you got somebody like Judge Brown that goes through his whole little spiel, and when he finished, the problem is the defective Negro, y'all, I don't mind listening to him, but I'm not taking that as some type of nourishment. That's my thing.
No.
And I don't necessarily mean when you combat somebody. I can tell you, I've practiced since being a single father at a late age. I did it out of necessity. I kept telling people I didn't need to be on the internet. Now some of my favorite people on the internet. I'm talking to you now. But my thing is, when you get somebody like that, you got to get them to be willing to break it down to the 6th grade level. You don't just have to wait and come and talk about him afterwards. Make him spit that shit out all garbled out of his own mouth. Make him go chase the donkey's tail that he's putting out there on you. You can't keep telling me that you believe that you came on a platform with intelligent Black people that engaged you, and your whole spiel is if they gave you money for reparations, you waste it all. But hell, then all of a sudden you want yours now. Apparently, you ain't got nobody to pass yours on to, either biological or otherwise. It meant shit to you in this life because everything is about you. I got a whole lot of open niggas like him. So y'all don't fall for that bullshit. It's entertainment if you keep the
talk
right
to
frame
him,
of
O.
mind. I don't waste my money on going to movies because I'm too busy trying to break down people like him that is putting propaganda out here to tell you you are the problem. Don't believe that shit. I'm stop right there. Next time you get one like that, though, make sure you got me hovering in the green room because I like to jump out on my Negroes like that. Be sorry, my people.
All right,
Yeah.
definitely,
Yo,
definitely.
Thank you, Otis.
You know
Thank
what?
you.
This was so beautiful because I'm glad it happened the way it did, because what we got to do was show the public that all elders aren't created equal. So we got to listen to one elder, and now we had to listen to another elder. And now you can see the difference between wisdom and propaganda, right? The pretended wise and the real wise people who are invested in the youth. That was a beautiful manifestation right there. I like that way that manifested. That was awesome.
I love it too. But to Elder Otis's point, especially when we talked about propaganda, based. Can you guys hear me?
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so if you listen to the judge, I mean, remember when he did that whole spiel about propaganda? So like, especially like when you heard a lot of the, the fallaciousness with, going out and buying Jordans and jeans and then blowing your money and et cetera, like just a lot of stuff that you would hear from different folks, right? I mean, but then like turn around and said that I studied propaganda and that I, and I understand how it works and things of that nature. And that's something that's important to do. Sometimes I wonder, and I'm not in somebody's head, but I have to, ask this. I have to ask this question, or raises a question. Do you realize, even in the midst of you talking about propaganda, that you just participated in propaganda earlier in the conversation?
I'm gonna say this, right? I'm gonna say I was ready to give that pushback. I'm gonna be honest. But I work with a team, and we can't. And when the teams say chill, you gotta chill, But I'm just putting that out there.
That was the word on the street, right? Just vivid, and we was like, okay, cool.
What you said?
This, Naheem was like,
yeah, I was like, because I was, everybody knows that I love to debate, and it's certain stuff that when I hear it, I instantly jump all over it, and at one point when you hear what Brother Logic was saying earlier, it's good to let some people come on and share their thoughts so that we could analyze and dissect it. That brother obviously has went through a lot, and he may have just given up on the whole thing. And what he sees is based on a remnant of how he grew up and how things was in the belief on how they should be. I think we all suffer from that. I'd be debating with my own children about certain stuff. So and I think in some instances it is good to hear that type of talk, because it forces us to analyze what type of people that we need to build with moving forward, right? Because we're going to need reparationists on deck. I disagree with everything he said about reparations, everything, but some people are like that in that boomer age group, right? They feel that, and we've come across a lot of people in that age bracket that feel that way. They may have come up when there was some upward mobility in certain Black areas of the country. They might not know what happened, or do know what happened with under Reagan and Reaganomics, et cetera, and the whole trickle down economics, which didn't trickle down to us. at all, right?
Right.
So I don't know if a lot of them are looking at the whole scope of everything and the why we're at where we're at right now. So, I think sometimes, we're gonna push back on. I know that I was ready to go in, and I didn't want the interview to be over with, and I'm keeping it official with y'all. I was ready to push back on some of that stuff, but I thought the interview leveled out after a while, and he got the rest of his stuff off. I was laughing. I was entertained after the reparation stuff. I'm gonna say that.
That's what I was gonna say. He's an entertainer. He's gregarious. He was verbose, but the moment he said, "I don't listen to that. I don't read that." Yeah, he's set in his ways. And by the way,
that's it.
Yeah, so y'all can stop dogging out the boomers. But
no, I said some. I'm careful to try not to ever just generalize.
No hasty generalization.
Yeah,
that is a logical fallacy.
Listen. No, like a lot of my friends are set in their ways. They've read books from the past. They can quote them up and down. They wrote some checks. They've done whatever. But if you try to tell them what's happening now, they get so defensive and offended, almost like white people when they exhibit, cognitive dissonance and white fragility. Just people are set in their ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, look, this man, Judge. Yeah, I mean, Judge. Like when it comes to reparations, man, I understand. I think he just has a lived experience, and I think people base their, whatever they're talking about based on their lived experience and what they've been exposed to. But I'm like, man, look, another thing, Judge is good. Judge is good. He had a long life in entertainment. He had a law background, and I mean, I don't think judges make like minimum wage. So that lived experience is not really representative of the masses of descendants of freedmen. You know what I mean? I would like to ask some other questions. But like, let's just say, is your family a recipient of the GI Bill? Because it's a set of like things that happen to certain black families that. And I don't want to generalize and I don't want to speculate, but it's a set of things that happen to certain black families to where, you can trace their, well-being or whatever the case may be to like the GI Bill. That's one common thing that I found when I've been researching, like, and this is not just the judge, but families who had the GI Bill, received benefits from under the GI Bill have done way better than families who have not. I think the book When Affirmative Action Was White talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was the one policy on President Bill Clinton said that uplifted the most American families. Well, most black folks in comparison to white families did not get access to that. But the ones who did, you can go and run down the list of them. Those are the ones that you've seen that were the prominent ones, So I would like to know if his family was one of those. But even then, you have to, if you like, when you say you're not interested in reading about that. To me, what you're saying is I don't really believe or see a way for reparations to happen. I understand how people can be skeptical. I really do. I understand how people can be skeptical. But the thing is, we don't say it's not going to happen anyway. So we're not going to try. We say we are going to have to find a way because we don't have any other alternative for the group. Not for the individual, for the group. There's no other alternative other than to try to figure out a way to make it happen. Now, we have a book club. Our first book club book is The Devil You Know by Charles Blow. We're going to discuss this book on the 31st. We're going to discuss the book on March 31st. Everybody, if you don't have that book, you need to get it now. I got it. you know, and I went through it. And it took me about a week, and I couldn't put it down. I had to finish it. I went back over it.
Hey, it's a short. It's not a thick book. But it's a kind of. It's a good read, man. You will get through that book in a week. I mean, depending on what you do. Some people are just readers. I'm a note taker, right? And you see my book is filled with sticky tabs and highlights all over the place. But that is a good book, and I didn't mean to cut you, John, but I just want to stress that part that we are having the book club on the 31st. It is our first book club. Charles Blow, The Devil You Know. We really, really want you all to be engaged in this conversation, because I think what he put forth is there you go, Sin. What he put forth is a very serious strategy. Yeah, my bad, Josh. Go ahead, brother.
No, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And that's what I was getting at. Like, we have to explore certain concepts that are and develop strategies around them. And obviously we're not going to flush out a strategy right here on this platform today, but we have to explore these different ways that we can look at getting the power, and I think when you read this book, it presents some really interesting ideas and concepts that we need to explore. And this thing it's not going to happen overnight either, but it has to happen.
I can make a suggestion on how to finish it fairly quickly. The book only has 6 chapters. Read a chapter for the next 6 nights, 1 chapter a night. You'll be done in less than a week. And be ready for discussion on March the 31st on the Be the Power Media Group channel.
Oh, I like that.
Sound like a permanent host.
We have to use that.
We need y'all.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So
Yeah, 2:37, right?
Yeah, 2 hours and 31 minutes in. I think the discussion was good, right? We got I'll call the brother a living legend for what he's done as an entertainer in the field of television, etc. BTP, we put out our disclaimer about guests that come on our platform, but we do want to give people a platform to speak what it is that they feel, and maybe there can be some lessons learned from it, right? We can learn some lessons out of what Judge Joe Brown said tonight. And those that come to our platform will be able to contrast some of what he said with what we propagate on a daily basis, which is the antithesis of some of the things that he said tonight. Juanita Murray said BTP After Dark was entertaining. Yes, it was. It really was. Ross said he got
Judge Joe Brown, lovely ladies.
Oh yeah, he loved the ladies.
Yeah, he do.
he had to leave on that note. He's like, I gotta shoot my shot before I get up out of here.
Yeah, but I gotta say too, I appreciate him for coming and speaking his mind. I respect him for not having anything that he holds back on. Whether you like it or not, and obviously. I think it's something that he believes. Like what he says, he believes in. So we don't have to agree with it, but I respect him from coming and sharing it. But hey, man, if we have some stuff we don't agree with, or we don't think is right and exact, we have to address it. We not doing our platform, and the people that's watching. I don't think we're doing them a disservice if we don't address that stuff. So, but I just want to say I appreciate Judge for coming on.
Definitely,
me too, Roz.
Definitely, we appreciate
him for coming on.
Shout out to Roz, man.
And I appreciate some of the good stuff that he shared. I mean, some nuggets on there. We got his gems on there, man. And so
it's
shout
like
out to Judge.
How the old head said is. It's a lot of truth and falsehood strangely mixed. Truth and falsehood strangely mixed.
And I
That
can
had me crying
that.
right there, Ella J. Dotson.
Mhm.
I might
I
be
have
old, but I ain't dead. He said, Ella J said the Viagra is on deck. Oh, that's so funny. That was
Yeah.
hilarious.
Lord, that's all I can say.
But didn't you get the impression that given a different format, a different time, he could be persuaded?
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Yeah, it's
hope so.
possible.
Yeah, I
I-
just
you-
think I think he can. I think that he's
Mhm.
so used to running his same script. Like I said, like what a lot of the brothers know this about me. A lot of people don't. I fuck with Judge Joe Brown. I listen to that fool all the time. He is a nut. He's entertaining to me, but he runs that
Mhm.
same script all the time. So I think that when he gets people to engage him and be like, they want to come on their platform, he thinks that's why what they want him to say on their platform, right?
Mhm.
So I think in another environment, if there's a different kind of exchange that takes place, somebody got to mute out. Somebody got to mute out. If there's another exchange that takes place in a different kind of setting, who knows what can happen? I think there's opportunity for all kind of breakthrough, right? But I know, like that's his script, right? That's what he does. So if a back channel discussion could go another way, you never know. But he's in the show business industry, and he thinks this is what people want to see when they ask for Judge Joe Brown. So I'm gonna be
Absolutely.
live, I'm gonna be colorful, I'm gonna say some wild shit like that's Joe. You understand that when
Mhm.
gotta understand when you get Judge Joe Brown, that's show business, right? So,
Yeah.
but we wanted to present that tonight to do all the things that we did to show you, that celebrity judge elder wisdom versus like grassroots advocate abolitionist elder wisdom when we brought Otis on. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a big distinction there. So the people who pay attention to our platform understand what our position is on almost every important matter that there is, because we've been doing this consistently for a long time. So they understand the kind of curriculum that you're going to get at Freedmen University and at Be the Power. We don't fight the power, we become the power, right? We have the power, right? When we had Judge Joe Brown, we had the power. We allowed that to happen because we had control over the platform. And now we have to bring a shared understanding afterwards, right? This is what we have to do, right? Showing a distinction, showing that clean glass of water and giving that fresh understanding to the people. But before I get off, I just want to say this because I might not still be on when y'all close out. I just want to say I appreciate my sister Cynthia, Chi-Town to the world blow up. I want to appreciate and give my biggest shout out and thanks and so much gratitude for Clubhouse Connie coming through. You know what I mean? It's so wonderful. I'm glad people can now. A lot of people probably follow you on Clubhouse now. You can put a face to the name. I hope you are a reoccurring host and a contributor to this platform. We need your energy. We love your mind and the way that you think. Please come back. You were amazing. I appreciate it. And government is the game and politics is how it's played, family, man. Peace and love. I'm out.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Facts.
Yes.
All right, so look, we're gonna close it out, but before I do, again, make sure y'all check out our website, usadof.org. We are not playing, family. We are moving. We are organizing. We are getting this thing done. We got people behind the scenes that are making moves. We are resurrecting the energy of our freedmen ancestors. And in doing so, a lot of things are starting to happen. A Voltron of sorts is forming. Leaders, real live leaders are stepping up in this particular space. So we believe, it is our belief that we will get this thing done, that we will become politically successful. We have the minds to do it. We have the talent to do it. We are still connected to the streets, right? I ain't never drink no Schlitz malt liquor. My mom's didn't either, but she raised me in the hood in a way that, like, we live here. So I'm not going to treat you like a patsy. I got to treat you tough as well, because you got to go out there and be tough. And it's a different vibration. It's a different energy. And in many ways, I believe that we need to bring that to politics. When I asked Judge Joe Brown that question about basically, what do you think we should do? He kind of, we know. We got that energy going. So, make sure y'all check out our Freedmen merch as well.
Yeah,
that's
right.
on the website, man. Support. Again, we are trying to put together this Freedmen's Festival on Juneteenth. That's June the 19th. We are having the reparations rally, the Freedmen's reparations rally on June 18th, that Friday. That Saturday, we are trying to celebrate, family. We're going to put more information out as the weeks go along. We're building. Come build with us. Come build with us. Anybody want to say give a last word before we get up out of here?
I'll give a last word. I want to thank Cynthia. I want to thank Sister Connie for coming on. Glad to make your acquaintance. I'm not on Clubhouse like the brothers are, but they talk, very highly of you and your intellect and wisdom as you demonstrate on Clubhouse. I want to say thanks for everybody for tuning in and hitting that thumbs up and the donations. That's peace. Shout out to Roz. Shout out to Marlon, Ibrahim. You heard everybody. One love. Peace, peace, peace.
Peace, love, and reparations.
Always.
Peace, love, and reparations. Definitely.
Yeah.
And also, you should highlight Brother Otis's last comment.
Word up. Shout out Otis.
Oh man. Oh yeah, we gonna have Sister Connie coming back through often. We got the elders excited. I love it. Oh, Sister Sin.
Again, thank you for sharing your platform and inviting me on to have a somewhat conversation with Judge Joe Brown. But I always enjoy coming here. I enjoy you brothers. I enjoy just like the camaraderie that we all have, shared. Sister Connie, such an honor to meet you, sis. I hope that we can do more stuff together, and and maybe, just maybe, I will invest in an iPad to come to Clubhouse. I'm still chanting on it. No, you hold and get killed. But everyone, thank you guys for all the audience members for coming in. Thank you for tuning in, Brother Elder Otis. Always a pleasure. And I want to say hi to my boo in the audience. Hey, boo. I mean, I know that Judge Joe Brown was flirting, but you always have my heart.
Shout out Arthur Ward, man. Shout out Arthur Ward.
What up, Arthur?
That's right, another wise brother that could have came on and shut things down.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, man. Arthur's sharp, man. Word.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brother Josh.
I'm just honored to be here with you guys. This was exciting, informative, fun. Thank you.
Honest. Thank you, sis.
Anytime.
Thank you.
Oh, Brother Josh.
I just want to say I appreciate every one of y'all for being on this platform. Judge Joe, again, I appreciate you for taking your time out. You didn't have to come on our platform, but you did, and I appreciate you. And just want to give that encouragement to the people that made that happen. I mean, I wanted to give the big ups to the people that made that happen. Look, reparations is necessary. It's not like something that we can just see. I got to say it again and again. It's not just something that we can just say is not going to happen. And it's like he said, one of the things he said I wanted to close with. He said this is the third time in his lifetime that reparations is coming around and made a big deal about. But I don't think you really can compare any of the other times to this right here. Like, we have all the data, we have the numbers, we have economists, we have this being talked about on the presidential stage, and the demographics of America has changed. to where it's really a dire situation. So we have to keep moving and pushing for this thing. So that's why I'm a reparationist. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Again, I want to thank our co-hosts for coming through tonight, Sister Cynthia, Sister Connie. I definitely want to have all sisters section on Be the Power. So, we just going to work out the logistics for that because we need it. We really, really need it. And I want to give a shout out to Judge Joe Brown for coming through and sharing his thoughts. We needed that as well. We definitely needed that, I believe. We need to hear what our people are thinking all around the country, particularly in spaces where they have influence, because it gives us some homework to do, and it forces us to become problem solvers. Like, we can't have another generation of people growing up like that. This is why all over Clubhouse we see people wanting to be Indians. And again, if that's what you want to be, that's fine. Just don't try to tell me that all of us are that when I know better, because now you're using deception, right? You got people all over Clubhouse saying the United States of America is a corporation, that money is not real. You could cash out all of your money to Be the Power if you feel that it's not real. I'm just saying, I'm keeping it official with you, right? That you don't need all of this nonsense. But if we don't do our jobs, that's exactly what's going to happen. We're going to have generations that grow up thinking nothing can happen. And we are in a position to make things happen. I believe, as Josh just stated, we've never had this type of momentum where it's us involved. We're not dealing in the 60s and the 50s and where, you could be hung for voting. You run up, one of them crackers run up on one of our brothers and they're going to catch a severe beat down, point blank, period. You're going to catch a severe beat down. So, and you will catch more than that as well. We just got to do our job. That's it. So I'm going to leave y'all with the mottos, the platform of the motto, which is don't just fight the power, become the power. And then and only then will you have the power to make a change. And with that, I say peace.